following is a special Wayne Hills television sports presentation.
With the first two opponents out of the way, the 2010 Wayne Hills Patriots have their sights set on another state championship. But tonight, the crosstown rival Wayne Valley Indians march into Patriot Stadium looking to avenge their 7-0 defeat from almost a year ago to the day. Can sophomore quarterback Kevin Olson lead Hills past the vaunted Valley defense, or will he crumble under the pressure of his first big game? Find out now. Hills Valley, the rematch.
Hello and welcome to Patriot Stadium for today's crosstown matchup between your Wayne Hills Patriots and the Wayne Valley Indians. I'm John Vittas, joined with Anthony Scudillo and Joe Rapp. Guys, this is the game we've been waiting for. I'm excited. I know you guys are excited, and we know the players are excited. It's an electric atmosphere here, just an hour and a half before the game. Things are already pumped up. So how do the players, first of all, get this out of their head and focus on such a big game?
Well, John, we saw last year at Wayne Valley when Wayne Hills walked into the other side of town. There was thousands of people there, and they were able to shut that out. Brian Dowling was able to get 140 total yards, 30 rushing. If he's able to produce more tonight on the running side, Wayne Hills is going to get the W.
Well, John, there's got to be pregame jitters. There's got to be in a game like this. But as soon as they get on the field, it's all going to be taken away. It's just going to be football.
Now, you mentioned pregame jitters. Which guy today for either team is going to be able to tune out those jitters and step it up and be a primetime performer?
Well, I think it has to be Brian Dowling. Kevin Olson is going to have to develop this year. And if he is going to do that, he's got to have weapons around him. And the main guy is Brian Dowling. If he can establish the run, unlike he did last year, Wayne Hills is going to have a lot of success tonight.
I really think field position is going to matter in this game, and it's going to come down to the kicking. And I think Andrew Monahan's going to have some big returns tonight alongside BD9.
Well, I'm going to go with a group of 5 key players for Wayne Hills. It's that offensive line, because Kevin Olson is a sophomore quarterback coming into a hostile environment, and they're going to need to protect him so he doesn't get flustered in this game. And Brian told me they're going to try to run the ball right down Valley's throats. And if they can do that, Kevin doesn't have to step up tonight, and Brian can get it done by himself. So if the offensive line can take care of Wayne Valley, Hill should have no problem tonight. Now, there's weaknesses on both these teams. There's question marks so early in the season. Now, both these teams are 2-0, but if you're the opponent, what kind of weaknesses are you looking for?
Well, I'm going to go straight at Kevin Olson. He's the sophomore. We've said that. There's a lot of youth and inexperience there. I mean, he has been coming to these games for 10 or somewhat years, but there's only so much a sophomore can do without the skill set that you would have from being a junior or a senior in a Wayne Hills program. If he's able to establish the play-action pass tonight, Wayne Hills is going to, really destroy this Wayne Valley team, because if Brian Dowling, like I said, can establish the run, Kevin is going to have the open pass.
I really think Valley's thing to do is to stop Brian Dowling from running the ball and catching passes outside. They really got to go at Kevin Olson, like Anthony said, and make him throw outside the pocket to his other receivers, like Troy Sofino and Mike Drees.
Now, we know Wayne Hills always has great linebackers and we now know that they have a great defensive line. For me, it's going to come down to the secondary tonight. The safeties are going to have to try to contain Mike Tallarico and Anthony Verrilli, the two best players on Valley's offensive side of the ball, and Andrew Fournier is very capable of getting him the ball down the field. So to me, it's going to come down to the safety and cornerback play for Wayne Hills. Now, I got a chance to catch up with Wayne Hills running back Brian Dowling. Let's hear what he had to say about tonight's game. Welcome to the season premiere of Breaking Tackles with Brian Dowling. I'm John Vittas, joined with Hills running back and senior captain Brian Dowling. So we are in our third season of our
pregame interviews, we had one-on-one with number 1, Mike Giampapa, Andrew Gallo, and David Suntup. And the last 2 years was outside the pocket with Brian DeBow and Mike Quinn. So Brian's completing the trio of our pregame interview, so he'll be joining us before every game for about 5 minutes to give us some insight on the upcoming matchup. So, Brian, going into the big Wayne Valley game, you guys had 2 easy wins against Eastside and Hackensack. I mean, what did you learn about your team coming off of last season in those first 2 games?
I think our team's a lot more physical this year. I think it's probably, a faster team, a more aggressive team. But, what we've done in the offseason hasn't really changed compared to last season. I mean, we worked the same. We're looking into the season to go 12-0 like we do every year. But, this game itself probably is going to be the most important game we play in the first 5 weeks, 6 weeks. So, it's a crosstown rival and everybody wants to talk about it. So we got to bring our A game. I mean, Eastside was an easy win. So, we got to pick it up this week.
And last year, you guys only beat Valley 7-0. It was your toughest game by far.
Mm-hmm.
And their defense had basically had their way with you guys. I mean, you guys had some good drives. Divers missed 2 field goals. But, 7-0, Wayne Hills never puts up single-digit points. Yeah. And you guys were pretty much lucky to come away with the win that night.
Yeah, I think that game itself was, a shock to a lot of people. And your hats go off to them because they played a good game. But, I think a little bit had to do with it. We weren't really looking at them like that. They were that good, and that was our mistake. So that's changed this year. I mean, they held us down to 7 points, and they kind of knew what we were doing. Their linebackers are up. They're always up. They're always playing their run first and pass second. So we're gonna open it up a little bit. Try and do all different kinds of things. Run the ball all over because that's the bread and butter of our offense, running the football. That's what we've done for years. So we got to establish that early, and once that comes, everything else will open up.
Right, so you're not going to overlook Valley this year, but the defense, like you said, they held you guys at 7 points. You said you're going to run the ball down their throats, but how much of the duty is Kevin Olson going to get, and how are you going to approach that good defense?
Definitely. I mean, your quarterback has to play a big role. I mean, play action and keeping teams off balance. You can't put. I mean, last year a lot of times they had. When we were running the football, they had 7 or 8 in the box. So, we got to keep them guessing, keep them off balance. And Kevin's made some throws so far. So, I don't think it's really anything about confidence or anything. I just think, we got to mix it up well, and we got to do different things to keep them off balance.
I mean, obviously this game's going to be attended by a ton of people. They're expecting thousands and thousands of fans. Kevin, he's done good in his first couple of games.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is really his first big test of his career, and he's just a sophomore. I mean, he's handled the pressure well so far, but going into a huge environment like this against Valley, how do you think he's going to handle it?
There's nerves. I mean, I'm sure. I remember my first game as a sophomore, and then even, playing in the state game, stuff like that. There's always nerves when you're young. But, he has a step ahead of a lot of people. He really understands the game. He understands the pressure. He understands a lot of situations. And that's part of our job as seniors, as captains, to keep him calm, keep him cool. And when he's calm, I mean, people have seen what he can do. I mean, he could throw the football. So we keep his composure down, not make it bigger than it is, just like another football game. I think he'll be all right.
Yeah, he really has all the tools he needs to have to be a great varsity quarterback. It's going to be all mental against Valley this week. But now transitioning to the defensive side of the ball, Valley's offense really wasn't anything special last year, but they kind of changed their style up a little bit this year with Savastano, the running quarterback, graduating. They're more of a pocket passing type team with Andrew Fournier, who's sat the bench the last few years, but the kid's immensely talented, and he was challenging Savastano the last couple of years, and this year he steps in as the full-time starter, and he's got a great arm. So how are you guys planning for that defensively?
Yeah, I think last year in the playoffs, if he didn't get hurt, he might have been going into that big game in that second half because Savastano had a bad first half. Forgot who they lost to last year, that last game. So, he's came back strong. We played him in the summer, and he can make all the throws. You don't see that a lot in high school. He can make, the back shoulder fit. He can make the post. He can make the 10-yard out. He can throw. He's got a very strong arm. So, that's the key to their offense, and our defense is our secondary. So, we got to blitz him. We got to bring in different things. We got to put pressure on him. You can't let him sit back and throw it because he'll pick you apart.
Now, this Valley team, we know they're going to give you a tough test. You guys are the clear favorites still. But what unit of their team, whether it's the offensive line, defensive line, secondary, special teams, where do you see a weakness, and where specifically do you have to exploit?
I think we got to exploit running the ball on the outside, using our speed against them. I think we're a little faster, and our physicalness. Our offensive line has to be more physical than theirs, and that was the case last year. Their offensive line beat ours up, their defensive line beat ours up. So we've been working on that in practice. We got to win the battle at the line of scrimmage, and the rest will take care of itself. And in the running game, the key is blocking the linebackers. Their linebackers are flying to the ball. They're coming up. DeFilippis, Trani, those kids are stepping up, and we got to block their linebackers, because if we don't do that, we won't be able to run the ball.
Well, hopefully that offensive line will be able to be physical so you can break some of those long runs we like to see. So we'll be back with the starting lineups and kickoff after this.
And here comes Ricky off to a good start with the salad and Elmo milk. He's going for the nacho cheese chips. Oh, and he puts them back and goes for the classics. An interesting choice there.
Looks like he wants to eat more healthy today, John. And now it looks like he's going to get a cookie.
Oatmeal.
Oh, baby, that's the way the cookie crumbles. It's nacho cheese, though.
We heard Brian mention how Wayne Hills overlooked Wayne Valley last year. Let's take a look at that scare that Wayne Valley gave Wayne Hills. Valley taking on Hills in the crosstown rivalry. In the first quarter, Quinn drops back to pass and hits Matt to block over the middle into the Valley red zone, and Hills was knocking on the door. Quinn on the very next play goes back to DeBlock, who makes the leaping catch into the end zone for the score, and Wayne Hills goes right on top. Take a look at the replay, as some people think DeBlock dropped the ball, but it was ruled a catch, and it stood 7-0 Wayne Hills on top right away. Now into the second quarter, Nick to Manello, laying out Pete Savastano, going in on touch for the sack. Late in the second now, Savastano drops back to pass, intended for Anthony Varelli, but take a look. Brian Dowling might have trapped it to the ground. You be the judge. It's a close play, but Wayne Hills gets the ball with under a minute and a half to go. On the very next play, Mike Quinn, play action, dumps it off to Dowling, wide open in the flat with blockers in front of him. Dowling will weave through the Valley defense and get inside the 10-yard line before a touchdown-saving tackle is made by junior Greg Laneve. That would set up this Tim Divers 22-yard field goal try that goes wide left, and Hills heads into the locker room with just a 7-0 lead. To the second half now, late in the third quarter, Savastano rolling out on fourth down, and he's going to be sacked from behind by Steve Johnson. Huge play by Johnson, and he is pumped. Late in the third now, Dowling gets the handoff, bounces it to the outside, drags Anthony Varelli, who made the touchdown-saving tackle, inside the 30-yard line. Divers' 24-yard field goal is no good. His second miss of the night, and he is disgusted. Into the fourth quarter now. Midway through it, Savastano drops back to pass, hits Anthony Varelli on the deep bomb down the sideline, and it's going to be stripped away by Brian Dowling inside the Hills 20, picked up by Matt DeBlock, who will cross the field and finally be taken down at his own 20-yard line. Huge turnover from the Hills defense. Now, late in the fourth, less than 40 seconds to go, Savastano rolls to his left, throws what looks to be the game-tying touchdown. Valley celebrates. They think they tied it up at 7, but they're going to call Pete Savastano past the line of scrimmage. It'll come back, and Hills retains the lead. Now, with under 30 seconds to go, senior James D. Delectus with the huge sack, and that'll set up the final Hail Mary attempt for Valley. Savastano chucks it as deep as he can, and it's batted down by the Wayne Hills secondary, and Wayne Hills pulls out the thriller by a final score of 7-0. So that game was really a great one last year, guys. I mean, we were there to call that same three-man crew, me, Joe, Anthony. We were on the top of Wayne Hills' bleachers. It was crazy on both sides. So many fans there that night. It was just a tremendous game. I mean, Anthony, what do you remember from that game?
Well, John, I mean, the one thing that sticks out in my mind is the offensive play for Wayne Hills. I mean, we saw a few missed field goals, and Mike Quinn was not able to establish the pass, and Brian Dowling couldn't really run. He only had 30 yards on the ground. I mean, Dowling is the key to the passing game because there's a lot of play action, there's a lot of bubble screens, and that, hindered Quinn from having his normal, 300-yard passing game and a few touchdowns.
Well, John, all I remember is the defensive line all over Pete Savastano. He had to keep rushing out of the pocket, scrambling to find an open man, and he really couldn't do it. He really had an off game.
Yeah, Joe, I mean, that's a great point. That stood out in my mind as well. But the biggest thing in that interview with Brian was how he admittedly said that they overlooked Valley last year. I have never seen Wayne Hills limited to single-digit points in my life. I mean, that's not going to happen tonight, in my opinion, because they're not going to make that mistake twice. So we'll see what happens. We're going to be back with opening lineups after this.
I've had Anthony Scudillo in baseball for a few years now. He's a pretty good runner on the base pass. but every now and again, he gets caught stealing.
Scudillo, come back here.
Back here at Wayne Hills High School for the big crosstown matchup between Wayne Hills and Wayne Valley. The bleachers are packed. The bands are ready to go. The cheerleaders are ready to go. We are excited, guys. This is great.
John, this is incredible. I mean, Wayne Hills came out, their new black jerseys.
Look at that.
I mean, we're calling it.
Ooh.
Coach Olson gave out shirts. It's a blackout. That's what he wanted. He said it during school. He wanted a blackout. And it's the shirt says the night it went black. And these jerseys are incredible. I mean, you can look at it on the screen. Brian Dowling just, I mean, if he didn't look like a stud in the maroon jerseys, look at him now.
Those jerseys look awesome. It's been a big secret around school over the course of the day. The players were trying to cover it up while divulging the secret at the same time. So we heard rumors about this, and it's true. They gave out black T-shirts to as many fans as possible.
Oh, they ran out quick.
They ran out real quick. So I'd say maybe half the fans are wearing the black T-shirts. As the PA system is actually going through some technical difficulties at the moment, so they can't do introductions just yet, as Valley's about to get running through the banner on their right side, on the right side of the field. So they're going to go through, but right now the introductions are on hold as we're waiting for the technical problems to get solved. So, guys, I mean, we talked about last year's game, and this time we're at Wayne Hills. Last year's game was at Wayne Valley, so the home-and-home series is being equalized tonight. I mean, it's high school. There's a lot of fans, but there's fans from both sides. So do you think home field advantage really plays any role?
No, because Wayne Valley's playing in Wayne. It's their hometown.
I agree. I mean, I don't think it plays that much of a role at all. Because
I mean, well, John, the field's 100 yards. It's turf. And they got fans on both sides, so it really doesn't make a difference.
That's a good point, Joe. I mean, that's a great point, actually.
I know.
I still think in any football house, you say, or stadium, it is the home team's duty to protect it. And, you know, we've seen mottos of protect this house. That's the Under Armour motto for a lot of their commercials. So, I mean, do we say home field advantage in a Wayne versus Wayne matchup matters? Maybe not, but I know it is the duty of that home team to play as hard as they can to defend their house.
So let's roll through some stats real quick for the Wayne Valley Indians. They come in with a 2-0 record. They defeated Passaic Valley as well as somebody else. I'll get to that in a second. They're ranked 3,144 in the nation, which basically means nothing to us because we don't know how many teams are in the nation.
Huh.
They're 74th in the state, which is not bad. That's definitely top third, I would say. Head coach Brian O'Connor, they're ranked number 9 in North 1 Group 3, which puts them one spot out of the playoffs. So they're definitely a playoff contending type team. They return 11 players out of 22. So half of their players are coming back, 5 on offense, 6 on defense, which is probably more than most high school teams produce. Their weakness, though, is definitely that line, especially offensive but defensive as well. And that was a big question mark coming into Wayne Hills this season, but they've answered the call, especially the defensive line, Anthony. They've been pretty good.
Yeah, John, they do have a lot of key players, one of them being Kyle Fant. I mean, he's grown a lot over the past 4 years. He's now over 6'3", over 200 pounds. He's really a defensive force. He had around 15 tackles in the Passaic Valley game, so he's going to be their main guy on that D-line at nose tackle.
Well, I really meant Wayne Hills' defensive line, but that's all right. Wayne Valley's proved themselves apparently too. So, yeah, Hills' offensive line, really, they need to be great for Kevin Olson tonight because this kid is nervous. I mean, you guys talked to him, and he doesn't look like a senior quarterback, but, I mean, physically he does. But
there's time to develop.
There is, but this is his first big game of his career. He's been under these lights for a long time, but now he's the starting quarterback, and he really needs to step things up because this is a huge game, and Valley's defense we know is very good.
I mean, John, this is a gut check game for Kevin because he wants to prove not only to his team but to his father that he can play well in big games.
As you see Wayne Valley taking the field there, and Kevin knows the playbook just as well as anyone. I mean, he grew up with Wayne Hills football all around his house, of course, with 2 older brothers, one in the NFL, one an ACC quarterback. So, I mean, the football runs in the family, basically. So, and talking to Brian in that interview, as you see Wayne Hills taking the field for this game, as they're going to go with the old Georgia calm and composed walk, and now they're going to pick it up a little bit, as here come the Patriots sporting the black uniforms for the first time in school history, breaking it out for this game. It just tells you how big of a matchup this one really is.
I mean, John, we all heard the rumors today in school. They're going to come out in the maroon and warm up and go back and come out in the black, and that's exactly what they did. These are some of the best-looking uniforms I've seen in high school football. I mean, we play against – Wayne Hills plays against teams like Don Bosco, and, we've seen teams like St. Joe's, and they've had nice jerseys, but these are incredible.
I can't say enough. They look so good. And they're wearing black pants, too, which I didn't know was going to be part of the look. I thought it was going to be the maroon helmets, maroon pants, black socks, but they got black pants too, so it just looks even more intimidating as we're going to stand for the national anthem right now, as once again the PA system is not available, so there's no opening lineups, and as the national anthem is not playing, we'll be quiet. That rendition of the Star Spangled Banner brought to you by Wayne Hills' marching band. So guys, we're just about ready to get underway. I mean, without the lineups and the smoke and the helmet and all that good stuff, it's not quite as electric as we might have expected, but hey, both bleachers are packed, both teams are ready to go, and the players are pumped for this game like you cannot believe. So the captains are getting ready to meet at midfield. Wayne Hills' captains, of course, all seniors: James Hogan, Eugene Lowe, Russell Pekarski, Brian Dowling, and Nick Massey. Looks like Massey's gonna stay back for this one, as you see Wayne Hills quarterback Kevin Olson getting ready on the sidelines, and you can only imagine what's going through his head.
I should bring the police out to the shaking of the hands. This could get ugly. I mean, we're all friends, Hills and Valley. They've played with each other since, 3rd and 4th grades, including ourselves, John and myself. We played with a lot of these kids. I mean, it's an intense rivalry once we split up from our middle school days into really defined groups at different high schools. But there's still that friendship, but the rivalry really comes out in this kind of night.
I mean, that's what makes this rivalry so great. It's personal. You know the guy on the other side of the line of scrimmage. I mean, Anthony saying how he played against these kids gave me chills because we know these kids personally. We played sports with them our whole lives. I mean, all 3 of us are baseball players, and we've played against, all these kids, Kyle Fantha, Varilles. I mean, just all these kids, we know them. And I'm sure the players know each other, and the fans know each other. So, I mean, I'm sure they're calling up each other, texts, everything, all that good stuff, talking some trash this week. And it's not just about football. It's about bragging rights.
Took the words right out of my mouth, John. This game is all about bragging rights. I mean, until next year's game. I mean, they're going to talk about this game for a year.
And they're going to talk about this game for the rest of their lives when they meet up at the local cafes. But yeah, I mean, it's really all about the rivalry tonight because Hills' streak is gone. So, I mean, of course they're playing for a state championship, but one loss doesn't eliminate you from the playoffs. So I mean, with the streak gone, this is all about bragging rights. We're in our own backyard right now.
I'm really excited to see how Kevin handles the offense tonight. I mean, this could really define not only his career, but his character. I mean, it says a lot about a young man to really stand up and perform on a night like this. And if he does, you know, it really proves what he has gone through in his life, coming up through the program. You know, his dad is the head coach, watching his two brothers go off to college, one into the professional game. And, you know, this could define what kind of player he is.
Look at that. They're painting the rock black. And they're serious about this blackout. But like Anthony said, I mean, this is the kind of game, I use the word in the pregame, primetime performers. This is certainly a primetime setting. And we'll see who steps up tonight and is really one of those gutsy kids that every coach would love to have. And you can see Dowling on the sideline there with the helmet off, ready to go. And you know he is focused because he is going to have to carry the bulk of the load on Wayne Hills' offense.
Oh, John, I mean, we were on the field for the pregame show, and I got a chance to really take a good look at the Wayne Hills
Intensity,
offense.
Anthony.
Exactly, Joe. I mean, I looked into Brian's eyes, and I didn't see anything other than focus and ferocity. I mean, it's going to be a heck of a performance from him tonight. I'm really getting that kind of vibe.
And I am too. I mean, we talked about tuning out the fans. These kids are focused. You can just see it in their eyes. I mean, we're always out there for the pregame warm-ups, and tonight they just had that fire in their eyes, both teams. I mean, they were just so focused on that little drill they were working on. And it's all about football tonight as the fanfare is coming to a close.
All the pregame jitters and all the nervousness will be gone after Mike Dries kicks this ball into the end zone.
Except for Kevin Olson until the first play from scrimmage, because, I mean, you can only imagine what he's going through.
I don't think he's worried. I think he's been waiting for this game a long time. A game that could define his career.
And you know who's been waiting for this even longer?
His father.
Andrew Fournier.
Ooh.
He's been sitting the bench for 3 years, and he's good enough to be a starter at other schools. And he's going to get the ball first as Hills is going to kick it away to Wayne Valley. So we'll see that big leg from Mike Dries. Kid has 6 touchbacks already in just 2 games. I mean, of course, when you're the Wayne Hills kicker, you get plenty of touchback opportunities, but 6 is a huge number. I don't think Divers had that the whole year last year. As here we go, the kick is away. It's a deep end-over-end kick. Going to chase the return man back to his own 5. It's going to be taken out to the 15, and Hills hits him hard. They're going to back Valley up inside their own 20-yard line, and that's where Andrew Fournier will lead the offense.
That's the kind of play Wayne Hills wanted to start out the game with. Poor field position.
So leading his team out there is senior quarterback Andrew Fournier in his first season as the Wayne Valley starting quarterback, as he backed up Pete Savastano the last 2 seasons. So Greg Leneve, the main running back for Wayne Valley. It's going to be a handoff up the middle. Nothing there, stuffed by Wayne Hills. Gain of maybe 1 on the play. It's going to set up second down.
And you could just see the intensity between the 2 teams. I mean, right up the gut. I mean, you find a Wayne Hills wall of defenders. I mean, our D-line, Wayne Hills' D-line has really matured over the first 2 games. I mean, they didn't play the greatest teams, but that gave them really a tune-up match for this game.
You're right, Amy. This game's going to be won on the ground some way. It's going to be smash-mouth kind of football.
There's going to be a flag before the snap, most likely on Valley. Might be an offsides on Wayne Hills as we're going to get the call. And it is indeed offsides on Wayne Hills, so first break goes to Wayne Valley. It's going to set up a 2nd and 4.
It gets easier and easier once the first one's out of the system.
So 2nd and 4. Fournier in the shotgun again, maybe conscious of Hills' pass rush, and it's going to be thrown incomplete on the out route to the far sideline. Would have been short of the sticks anyway.
Fournier looking for Tallarico there. He's going to be one of the main weapons tonight in the passing game, along with Anthony Varelli. Both were starters last year. In fact, Anthony Varelli has been playing since his sophomore year in all 3 sports he's played. He's played varsity football since his sophomore, varsity basketball, and varsity baseball. So, you know, he's got quite a resume.
12 varsity letters. That's impressive. So Fournier in the shotgun again on 3rd and 4. They got to get to the 27, and they're going to blow the whistle. Timeout, Wayne Valley. So only a minute into the game, not even 59 seconds in, and Valley already burns their first timeout. I mean, this is a huge 3rd down play. It's going to set the tone.
I mean, if you could get a 3 and out here, that that kind of defines your defense for the night. I mean, it really sets the momentum into your side of the ball. I mean, you're going to get good field position if you stop them here.
Absolutely.
Wayne Valley had Pete Savastano, the All-State punter last year. I mean, he's not with us right now. He's in college. So, I mean, the punt game is not going to be the same for Wayne Valley.
Well, we did see Matt Dietz kicking in the pregame, and he looked pretty good. I know he's a good kicker, and he didn't look too bad punting the ball either.
You know, guys, talking to players and coaches before the game, they said the first team that scores is probably going to end up winning this game.
Well,
I don't know why that's what they said.
So here we go, 3rd and 4. We'll call it 3rd and 3 from the 24. Valley's got to get to the 27. Hills looks to rush 5. James Hogan coming off the left edge. Low snap. Fournier handles it. He's got time to throw, and it's intercepted. Oh, and dropped. Excuse me. Looked like Dowling on the far sideline. Maybe Troy.
Looked like it was Russ Pekarski.
Indeed,
Went right
yes.
through his hands.
0 for 2.
We'll get your glasses. You'll be fine. I know they're on their way up.
Fans at home, watch Monahan return this ball. He's my key player, and I know he wants to do it well for me.
Yeah, Joe, I wouldn't be surprised if he gets the kick here right now because I know Wayne Valley does not want to attack
Not
Brian
at all.
Dowling tonight.
Any team doesn't want to kick it to Brian.
Well, Andrews had some good returns over the course of his 2-year career. Punt is almost blocked by Wayne Hills. It's a low kick taken by Dowling at the 48. He goes to the far sideline, 40, up to the 35, takes on a hit, and it's finally taken down at the Wayne Valley 34-yard line. So Kevin Olson's granted a short field to start things off.
The snap was bad on that one, so they were not able to get a good punt off. Although we did see in pregame warm-up, Wayne Valley was kicking some line drive punts.
So very short field for Wayne Hills. The ball is marked just inside the 35-yard line of Valley.
Almost in field goal range.
I formation, 2 receivers to the right. Dowling dots the I. It's going to be a handoff to the fullback up the middle. Nothing there for James Hogan, the fullback. So 2nd and 10 as Valley's crowd gets up for the first time.
Looked like it was DeFilippis on the tackle. He's their senior leader.
Yeah, Andrew DeFilippis anchors that linebacking core for Wayne Valley. Number 50 has that famous neck guard he always wears. And I mean, he just loves the game of football. You can see it just playing with him like Anthony and I did in middle school. And he loves football.
I mean, playing any sport with Defo, I mean, he was just a competitive kid. Maybe probably right from when he was born.
Yeah, he's always been a sports fanatic. I've gone to school with him since about the 2nd grade. So, all I ever remember him was telling me how much he loves sports. We're going to go in the Wildcat here with Kevin Olson out at wide receiver.
Dowling wide to the left. And they're going to blow it dead.
Dowling's at quarterback. This is interesting. It looks to be a chin strap malfunction on Andrew DeFilippis, that's why.
Must have hit someone too hard.
Wouldn't be surprised.
As you see Eugene Lowe getting some coaching there from Coach Olson. And you got to believe he's in prime form tonight. So here we go, 2nd and 10. They're going to stick with the Wildcat. Not as much of a secret anymore, but it's going to be a take to the right, and there, nothing there again. Looked like DeFilippis again on the tackle, maybe not.
That was the corner, Mike Tallarico. It looked like Hogan was going to be able to bounce that one to the outside. Got 2 good stiff arms in a row, and then Tallarico came up and gave him a nice lick.
I mean, guys, this is what we saw last year in the Wayne Hills-Wayne Valley game. The run wasn't working for either team.
3rd and 10 for Wayne Hills. I formation. Handoff up the middle. Interesting call as Brian breaks some tackles, gets to the 25. He might have enough for the first down.
If not, he's close enough to go for it. 4th and 1 or 4th and inches. They're going to give him the first down, which is fantastic.
You see the replay there, Dowling taking it up the middle.
Surprise, no pass there, boys?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, it just basically shows that, you know, Coach Olson knows his son and that he's going to be a little bit nervous. But, hey, it worked. I mean, I'm sure he would have gone for it on 4th down, so that's 2-down territory right there. Handoff again up the middle to Dowling. Gets a hold this time. Drags defenders inside the 20, so a gain of 5 on 1st down for Brian, and he's starting to pick up chunks.
That's what Brian Dowling is here to do. He's developed into, you know, just a well-rounded running back. When he first began as a sophomore, coming in for, you know, injured players such as Ronnie Drees, he was more of a scat back. He was quick. Now he's gotten a little thicker, and he runs with a downhill pace, which is fantastic for any running back.
I mean, Brian was always a ridiculously athletic kid, but that was always my knock on him about going back to middle school, that he would try to, you know, fake people out instead of running people over. It's going to go to Brian, and he's hit hard in the backfield, shakes off a tackle from Leneve before he's finally taken down for a loss of 2. So that's going to set up the 2nd, 3rd and long on this drive.
John, maybe this is my personal opinion. I think the play action pass would have worked there. Again, that's one of my favorite plays. You have 2 established run plays in a row where Dowling gets around 15 yards, and if you fake the pass there, Kevin's got some room to scramble, get outside the pocket, and throw the ball.
And you know Kevin wants to throw the ball. He really does.
Oh, yeah, Joe.
And you think getting his first throw out of the game early, I mean, they're a great field position. It's not going to be awful if he throws an incomplete pass.
Well, here's the pass, and it's a complete one to Hogan over the middle, who drags defenders all the way down to the 10-yard line. He took some guys on his back right there and sets up a 1st and goal for Wayne Hills.
I mean, we haven't seen a lot of James Hogan because of injuries in the past few years, but I mean, when he's healthy, he's dangerous and scary. I mean, he's a big kid. He's he's you know, one of the bigger kids on the team, and at the same time, he's also one of the fastest. So that's a lethal combination.
Very lethal combination. Very intimidating for defenses and offenses.
As you see James dragging some people for the ride. I formation again, 1 receiver to the left, handoff to Dowling, getting inside, and he's stuffed for just a gain of about 1 or 2. Wayne Hills didn't quite get to the 10 on that Hogan run, so they do have a chance of getting the 1st down without the touchdown. So it's going to be 2nd and about 8 or 9 from just inside the 10.
This is where Peter Davies comes into play in my book. 6'4", 240 pounds, and he's a big target for Kevin to hit. I mean, it makes it a lot easier for a young quarterback to, I've said this before, to hit a bigger wide receiver. So it'd be interesting to see.
1 second.
Kevin's going to go out wide.
Into the end zone, incomplete.
Man, I thought he was going to throw it to Peter on that play. I don't know if he was blocking or not. I didn't get to see it, but that was a perfect play-action pass.
Yeah, he did have room to roll out there. Just nobody open, and that's a smart choice. Don't force anything in. That's a very mature choice for a young quarterback to do. Don't force anything in. You're in great field position. Not 4-down territory because we're not close to enough to the marker right now. But Drees has proven that he's a decent kicker. So, I mean, I wouldn't be worried if that is, you know, a wasted play right there. You still have another down. If you get close enough, you have 2 extra downs.
Peter sitting out this play.
They're going with 5 wide receivers here. Man goes in motion. It's going to be a toss to the left. Trying to find blocks. It's down. He leaps toward the end zone. And they're going to mark him down at the 1. He's close to the 6. It might be a 1st down. Wow, look at Brian fly.
He's hurt. And that is not good for Wayne Hill. It looks like he's going to be able to get up. Wow, he went flying there. We saw the Brian Dowling vertical there for a second. I mean, he literally lunged over, the entire player for Wayne Valley and almost got in. Just got caught on the helmet of the defender. As we see it here, Dowling was able to take the pitch and get to the outside. Tried to leap over the defender. Ooh, he got close to the marker.
I don't like that spot for Hills. It looked like he got really close to that pylon. Maybe went out at the 1, but they're marking it down at the 2, which is 1 yard short of the first down. So here comes the biggest play of this game so far. 4th and 1 from the Wayne Valley 2. Brian Dowling is not in the game. James Hogan is the tailback.
This is the power formation right here.
Goal line set, handoff to Hogan up the middle. He's stuffed, trying to fight his way to the line. I don't think he got there.
A goal line stand.
You had the power O right there. You had Russell Pekarsky, Nick Massey, both at fullback, and our strongest running back, James Hogan, running up the gut.
And
they just got initial pressure off the line, and that's what happens on a goal line stand.
They gave the ball to the Indians. As there you see it, Hogan couldn't quite get to that 1 yard line, and that's a huge turnover from acquired by Valley, as it's still no score. They fumble the snap. They're going to have to unravel the pile. It seems like Fournier fell back on it because Wayne Hills doesn't look too excited.
You know, in this kind of situation, this is where the defensive line for Wayne Hills really needs to show their mental toughness and overall toughness. We've seen Roberto able to shoot the A-gap extremely quickly, and you have Avedizian on there, Davies, and Joey Lane. So, I mean, we've seen that the defensive line has been one of their strengths, and hopefully they could get another stop here.
Handoff, and he stuffed at the line for nothing. Maybe fell forward for 1. They're going to say he
was down.
He was down by contact. So it's going to set up 3rd and long for Wayne Valley. So if Hills can get a stop here,
Great field position.
Guaranteed great field position again.
Not only that, they muffed the first snap. So not exactly a whole lot of confidence in the Wayne Valley punt team right now.
So it's 4th and 9 from the Wayne Valley 5. 4. What did I say? Fournier in the shotgun, 4 receivers. Pressure coming, and he's crushed! The ball is loose in the end zone. Valley picks it up, I think, and recovered it at the 1. I think that was Peter Davies coming from the far side. Absolutely crushed Andrew Fournier.
Johnny's trying to go 3 for 3 with quarterbacks. He heard Hackensack's quarterback. He was able to, injure someone on the
east
side team, and he's trying to just go through the season with injuring every quarterback.
Lights up Fournier. Valley is fortunate Fournier fumbles, because otherwise that would have been a safety.
That would not have been good, John.
They're also fortunate they recovered it, because otherwise it's a touchdown. Kick is a bad one, way out of bounds.
Wow.
Shanked by Dietz, and Wayne Hills will have great field position.
That is a horrible
Why are they
spot.
putting it there?
I don't
understand.
Baffles me. At least we have good field position again for the second straight drive. But
You would have better
like,
field position.
It looked like it went out about the
30
25.
30. 30 at most.
I mean, that's why John initially said that's a horrible punt, because it was a horrible punt.
It went out at the 20. I don't know what happened, if there was a penalty or Coach Olsen won't accept that explanation. I know that. Olsen, play action, goes deep down the middle. He's going to overthrow the receiver. Was looking down the field for number 5, Eugene Lowe. And that's the first time Olsen really let it loose, and the nerves were a little bit evident right there.
That's good. You got to get those nerves out, though. I mean, now he'll be ready for his next pass.
Threw it off his back foot. Maybe not the best mechanics he could have used there.
His footwork was definitely out of whack right there, because Kevin is flawless mechanically, and you could just tell that was a little nerves with that throw. So 2nd and 10 now for Wayne Hills. I formation. Dowling goes in motion. Olsen back to pass, looks toward the right, back over the middle. He's going to try to run with it, and he's taken down for a loss of 2 on the play. And that's going to set up a 3rd and long.
Don't know if I like the decision there or not, John. Maybe he could have overthrown the receiver rather than losing 2 yards. But third and 12 now. It's not like we haven't gotten a 3rd and 12 before, so.
Kevin's a little gun shy. I mean, you can't blame him. There probably was no one open. You can't blame him. But I think in another game, Kevin might sit in the pocket a little bit longer, because he had good protection right there, and he just kind of packed it in a little bit too early. 3 receivers to the right. Olsen looks to his right. He's scrambling, trying to elude some defenders, throws it back toward the sideline, incomplete. So it's 4th down, and Wayne Hill's probably going to have to punt as here comes the punting unit.
I like that decision much more than just almost kneeing it.
I mean, that drive just went bad from the punt by Dietz to the 4 plays that Kevin made.
I think the field position really killed us right there. I mean,
This is a field goal right now.
We probably should have had it at the 20-25.
Snaps a good one. Brian gets it off. It should be a touchback. That's a deep kick. Might be down inside the 5, and it bounces into the end zone. So a beautiful pump by Brian Dowling. 36 yards. So we got our things straightened out, and now let's hear from Nick Appaluccio on the sideline.
Thanks, guys. I talked to Jason Avedisian of the Wayne Hills Patriots. He said that Wayne Hills works harder than Wayne Valley. They practice harder than Wayne Valley. They play harder than Wayne Valley, and they deserve to win this game, and they will win this game. Back to you guys in the booth.
So the bold prediction from Jason Avedisian, and knowing Jason himself, he's not afraid to make some bold statements.
Neither brothers are.
No, but they both back up their words, so.
Play action for Fournier under heavy pressure. He flushes out of the pocket, gets across the 30, breaks a tackle at the 25, gets across the 30-yard line for the first down. So Andrew Fournier making things happen and improvising a little bit and picking up the first down, but
he's getting hit hard. Whether it's in the pocket, in the end zone, or scrambling. I mean, Wayne Hills is really just smacking him around right now.
Not a lot of running plays from Wayne Valley early in this game. They want to establish the pass and maybe get the run later in the game.
Handoff to the right side. Lanieve has to bounce it to the outside. Gets inside. Wayne Hill's not wrapping up right there. They finally make the tackle after a gain of just 1, but there's a flag on the play.
Looked like there was a holding on number 32, Jimmy Ken. One of the defensive ends. He looked like he had the initial wrap up, and then he was pulled from behind. They're not going to call the penalty. That was, from my point of view, I mean, which is up top, maybe not the same down on the field.
Refs are just a little bit closer to the play than we are. Handoff up the middle to Lanieve. He's hit there by a host of Wayne Hills players. Lanieve picks up 2 or 3 on the play. Going to set up about a 3rd and 6, 3rd and 7 for Wayne Valley. So the first chance here for Wayne Hills to try to make a stop.
And this will give confidence to their defense if they want to make the stop. I mean, they'll still have somewhat good field position after a punt if they get the stop.
Yeah, but they, like you said, Joe, they do need the stop first. I mean, first 2 plays Wayne Valley has run on this possession. Look like they're going to pass now.
Shotgun for Fournier. He's going to run with it, finds a hole. Tackles can't be made. There's a flag in the backfield. Fournier fighting his way to the 50-yard line. Picks up the first down, but we'll have to see what the penalty is.
If it's in the backfield, I'm going to have to probably guess it's holding.
And it looks like Wayne Valley might be marching themselves back. And that's indeed what the call is going to be. So a huge break for Wayne Hills. It goes from a 1st and 10 from the 50 to a 3rd and 16 from the 25. Or 26. That's a 24-yard penalty.
And now Hills can probably lax their coverage a little more. Watch out for the screen or something like that.
Get some DBs in the game.
Yep. Put it in like they're doing right now. They're going to put UG Low at safety.
So 2 safeties set for Wayne Hills.
Jimmy Kenny's going to come out of the game, so that's 1 less linebacker, which means they're going to open up the middle a little bit and take it the backfield.
They called that foul from the spot of the foul, which was 4 yards behind the line of scrimmage, so it's 3rd and 20. Fournier is going to look to throw to his left. Pressure coming from Davies. He's chasing Fournier and trying to trip him up. Can't do it. Fournier throws it. Batted away and incomplete. That was a dangerous tip there from Wayne Hills. Unfortunately for Fournier, the ball found turf.
Massey had a nice little hit there on Lanieve. We're going to see it here. Fournier just escapes Davies. Tries to get it to Lanieve. Eugene's able to knock it out. And then,
That looked like Michael Dries.
Mike Dries came in rather than Nick Massey and laid the hit.
So Dowling and Monahan back to return the kick. Snap is good. Dietz's kick, a lot more time this time. It's a much better one. Dowling takes it at the 43. Shakes and bakes at the 50. Breaks it at the 45. And shakes another defender at the 40. He's inside the 35. And finally taken down at the 32. What a run from Brian Dowling.
That's the spark they need, Anthony.
I couldn't tell you're excited there, Joe.
So guys, I hate to leave you hanging, but I got to head up to for my interview with MSG Varsity. So Anthony, take things over for now. I'll be back in a bit.
All right, thanks, John. There's 29 seconds left in the first quarter. Hills now has the ball on Wayne Valley's 33-yard line. A nice return there from Brian Dowling, able to shake and bake a few defenders. Hills is going to come out in an I formation with Dowling underneath. They're going to give it off to James Hogan, who fights for a quick few yards. Looks like a tough 3. So we've seen a lot more James Hogan on the offense this week rather than, a Troy Zaffino in there. James Hogan, a much stronger individual. He runs harder, and from what I understand, he's much harder to tackle.
Well, absolutely, but Wayne Valley has been tackling him well this game. Doesn't have a lot of yards. He's got 4 or 5 rushes for only 10 yards. I mean, has not had a good start to the game as Coach Olson would like him to. But, he is big, he is strong. He's still intimidating to all defenses in North Jersey.
He's intimidating without the pads on.
He's intimidating in school when I walk by him.
He's one of the scariest kids I know. And his dad's his biggest fan. We love Mr. Hogan. Always rooting for his pub. So that's the end of the first quarter. It's 0-0, surprising. I mean, from what predictions had told me, and I've talked to coaches, I've talked to players, I've talked to just fans, and they thought we'd have a little more on the board. So we're going to throw to a quick break, and we'll be back with the second quarter after this. Welcome back to Wayne Hills. It's the start of the second quarter. I'm Anthony Scudillo alongside Joe Rapp. We lost John Vittas to MSG Varsity for a little bit. We don't know how long he's going to be staying up there. It's 0-0 right now. Joe, what are your thoughts from the first quarter?
Well, if you ask me what are my thoughts of the first quarter last game, I probably would have said the same thing. I mean, teams not clicking on all cylinders on offense, but playing very good defense. Both lines are playing very well right now. And this game, I said before, it's going to be won on the ground, not by the pass.
Well, one of the main things we said was the weakness for both teams was their offensive line. And so far, we have seen the defensive line really get some pressure on the quarterback. We have a sack on Kevin Olson. He's been flushed out of the pocket. And the same goes for Andrew Fournier. I mean, he's had his own troubles, mainly Peter Davies shooting around the side. I mean, he's a DN, a D1 prospect, potentially. His quickness almost forced an interception over there and an arid pass. So Wayne Hills really hasn't found its offensive identity. Most of the yards they've had have come off of kick returns, or mainly just field position off of bad punts. We saw Brian Dowling have a very nice punt return. So as we see John Vittas in the booth behind us with MSG Varsity, we're going to thank MSG Varsity. They are letting us use their feed tonight for the game. This is live on MSG Varsity. So this is kind of a big deal, crosstown rivalry. That we got the whole shebang coming with us tonight.
But let me ask you something. How many VORs does John have?
He has 1.
How many do I have?
You have 2, Joe.
Exactly. That's enough said.
All right, Joe.
The game's back on.
The game is back on. Kevin looks to be in a shotgun formation with Mike Drees and Brian Dowling to his right and trips left. So this is really a passing formation unless they call somebody in motion. Kevin's going to go under center. Andrew Monahan's in motion. They're going to fake the flip out to him. Mike Drees is able to bounce off a defender, and then he falls down. So they fake the pitch there to Andrew Monahan, gave a quick screen to Mike Drees, and he got hit there by Anthony Varelli, who is, again, their senior leader along with Andrew DeFilippis. So it's going to be 3rd and 8 now. So I don't know if this is in Mike Drees' field goal range. I'm not quite sure.
He can kick it a long way.
I know that, but I don't know how far Coach also wants to go with it. We're probably going to see a run as we do. Brian's trying to get to the outside, and he doesn't. He's stopped
right at the 30-yard line. So a gain of nothing there. It's going to be 4th and 8. I don't know if they're going to punt here, if they're going to go for it, give them the field position, or kick the field goal. Joe, that offensive series wasn't too impressive.
It wasn't. I really don't remember the plays that just happened. I mean, not a lot of excitement in this game.
Looks like Coach Olson and the offense are going to try to get the first down here. Now, what we've seen in recent years in this kind of situation, we've seen a screen.
Of course.
Now you have your 2 main screen guys in, Dowling and Zaffino. Kevin's going to drop back for pass. He's looking for Mike Drees over the top, and he overthrew him. Now, we said we've had open receivers all night. We had Eugene Lowe on the opposite side. Right there, we had Mike Drees wide open in the end zone, and Kevin has just overthrown them. I mean, maybe he doesn't know his own strength. Maybe he's trying to overdo it a little bit, but overthrown receiver there, and Wayne Valley's going to get decent field position at the 30-yard line.
I mean, in this kind of game, your juices flow up. You want to throw the ball as far as you can for a touchdown. I mean, he's just got to calm down and stop overthrowing the ball. It's not helping his team.
Oh, he'll adjust. I mean, there's plenty of time. There's 10 minutes and 30 seconds left in the second quarter. There's Lanive there on the run, and he's gobbled up by the Wayne Hills defense. Peter Davies has been causing havoc the whole night, along with the rest of the defensive line, with Jason Avendizian, Roberto Alvarez, and Joey Lane, along with the linebacking crew. So, I mean, Wayne Valley's offense hasn't really been able to establish anything. The pass is not there. The run is not there. And Wayne Hills has gotten a good field position. They just haven't been able to take advantage of it.
I mean, just like last year, Hills' defense, I think they have to carry him through the end of this game.
Yeah, Joe, it does look that way. Fournier's going to set up in the shotgun, trying to get Wayne Hills to jump off sides. They don't. Open receivers everywhere. It's going to pop off of Lanive's hands there. He wasn't expecting the ball. He was wide open across the middle. The linebackers went with the 2 wide receivers that actually went out to the hashes. Lanive, as we see here, wide open across the middle, really wasn't paying attention. Jimmy Kenny was waiting there, but he had a good 3-yard gap between him and the Lanive. So, just a miscue there.
Fournier saw pressure coming. He just wanted to get rid of the ball as fast as he could. And
if Lanive was paying attention there.
Unfortunately, that could have been an interception.
Yeah, it did bounce off him pretty high. It's one of those risky things we've seen so far with Fournier's passes. He's going to go shotgun here again. He tries to get it out to Lanive. Russell Pekarski's waiting there. And it doesn't look like they're going to get him before the first down. Wayne Valley, that's one of their first downs of the night. I believe it's their second one, and that's a big pass play. Lanive was expecting the ball that time and got it for the first down.
I mean, that's the first really nice play on offense we've seen all game. I mean, Lanive made a great run, got past the defender and got the first down, and it's just key to move the chains in the low-scoring game.
I mean, right now, the main target for Andrew Fournier has been Greg Lanive in the flat. He's the starting running back. He's one of their star players for Wayne Valley. We do know that, quarterback struggles have been a key component tonight, as we see Kevin Olson. He has had open wide receivers and has overthrown them twice. One to Eugene Lowe on the opposite side that we're on, and one right over Mike Drees' head. I mean, Mike Drees was wide open, beat the defender, which was the safety, so he was the only man to beat, and just overthrew him. We're going to have to see, some kind of, not necessarily switch, but adjustment, as we move along with 9 minutes left in the second quarter. So Fournier is going to be in a shotgun. Going to look deep to Anthony Varelli. He's overthrown there, just a bit of a line drive. He was in double coverage anyway, not really anybody open. I think it's better to overthrow in that kind of situation than throw it off of somebody's pads again.
I mean, it was a very good ball. I mean,
just overthrown.
Just overthrown. I mean, he put it in a right spot.
Yeah, only where he could catch it.
Exactly. If he was just 2 feet closer, it probably would have been a touchdown.
There was double coverage there. It was good coverage too. So Fournier literally put it in the only spot where his receiver could get it. So you're going to go doubles to the right. You're going to hand the ball off to Lanive. This line for Wayne Hills, their defensive line has been fantastic, and the linebackers are getting in on every tackle. We see Roberto there on the tackle. So, their D-line has been fantastic.
Both D-lines have been fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean, both teams cannot run the ball up the gut. That's why you've seen a few
bouncing to the outside.
Exactly.
And that's why the pass in the flat has worked, because the D-line shooting up the gats and coming to the outside has been fantastic.
So Fournier is going to be in the shotgun here with Lanive next to him. Doubles left. He's going to go deep to Varelli. He was wide open, and he's going to drop it. Anthony Varelli was wide open. Now, we saw last year when Pete Savastano hit him deep, Brian Dowling was able to force that one out. Brian Dowling did not need to force this one out because of the incompletion. He was wide open. He probably could have walked in for the touchdown. Now, Fournier, fantastic pass there. Wide open, and you just gotta complete that.
You gotta catch the ball. In this type of game, a very low scoring affair, you gotta catch the ball.
Now we've seen Brian Dowling taking off of the punt return team, and now he's had 2 fantastic punt returns. It's gonna be Troy and Monahan back there. This one's a decent punt. Probably gonna let it go out of bounds and not return it. Sorry, Joe. Monahan did not catch that one.
It's early.
It's gonna go out of
early.
bounds at about the 20-yard line, so a good kick there. It wasn't a booming kick, but he was able to get it inside the 20 on a decent bounce. So Wayne Hills, this is probably the worst starting field position they've had all night, and they haven't been able to really take advantage of any starting field position they've had. So, Kevin Olson really has to make an adjustment here. As we look at John Vittas again in the booth, he's probably doing a great job up there. John's one of our best announcers that's come through Wayne Hills. I mean, a good friend of mine. He's looking to go to college, as am I, for this type of thing. So good luck to John. We're going to get Dowling up the middle. There's a solid gain of 5 up to the 25-yard line. I mean, if Wayne Hills can get the initial push on 1st and 2nd down, have a short 3rd down, you can even go 4-down territory anywhere if it's a short 3rd down.
I mean, they're going to have to work on this drive to get down the field, and Kevin's got to start completing some passes.
Yep.
He really does.
I mean, we haven't seen a completed pass from him tonight. I believe he's 0 for 3.
Guys, I'm back.
Oh, welcome back, John.
Hey, John, how you doing?
You can take the helms again as the lead broadcaster. I hope you had a good time up there.
I did.
I know you did.
I didn't miss a snap.
And we didn't miss you. Oh! I'm just kidding.
Joe Rapp's going to take over your play-by-play duties now.
Coach Olson's going to take a timeout here with 7 minutes and 56 seconds left in the second quarter. Now, John, what we've said tonight is Kevin Olson has found open receivers but overthrown them each and every time. We saw Eugene Lowe right before the end zone and Mike Dries in the end zone overthrown. So what do you think Kevin needs to do to adjust these passes?
I personally, he needs to just make the throws. I mean, I interviewed him after the Hackensack game, and I asked him, what's the one thing you need to improve on? And he said, just being accurate with my passes. And if he's not going to be able to make those throws, Coach Olson's going to have to adjust and maybe make some shorter throws in the flat. I mean, Wayne Valley's defense is swarming. I mean, this game is just like last year. It's kind of scary. Only difference is Wayne Hills was stopped at the 2 this time as opposed to scoring on their first drive last year. I mean,
oh, sorry, John. Go ahead.
It's a 0-0 defensive struggle. That's all I want to say.
I mean, we saw almost some points on the board there. Anthony Varelli found some broken coverage and was able to be wide open at about the 15-yard line, and he was just not able to hold on to it.
I mean, that was just like last year's play when he was stripped from behind, and then luckily Wayne Hills was able to pick it up, and they had a similar break tonight where Varelli just didn't catch the ball. It's going to be a toss to the right, halfback pass, going deep over the middle. He's got his man, and it's going to be dropped and intercepted by Wayne Valley. Cutting across the field is going to be number 1, Tirani, and Tirani's going to be taken down at the 20-yard line. A huge break for the Indians as they're taking advantage of a tipped ball, and they are inside Hills' red zone already.
I mean, John, what you saw there was Dowling did not put enough on the ball. Hogan had his man beat downfield. You're going to see here he just didn't lead him enough. So as soon as James was going to catch the ball, he was hit from behind, and Trani just, right place, right time situation, is able to get great field position. Now they're at the 20. Let's see if they can pounce on their first really good field position of the night.
So Trani, the junior linebacker, making the heads-up interception. Fournier in the shotgun, 4 receivers, looks to his left. He's going to the end zone for Talarico, and it's incomplete, overshot him.
I mean, this is gut check time for Wayne Hills defense. If they get the stop, they're going to have confidence throughout the whole game. There's no doubt
Yeah,
about it.
if they could get a stop here and even prevent a field goal from happening, maybe a sack or something like that, or a fumble, that would be fantastic. But right now, I mean, Wayne Valley has taken all the momentum that was
Absolutely.
Wayne Hills' at the time. I mean, you saw James Hogan wide open down the middle of the field. Dowling just waited 1 second too long. The defenders were able to, catch up, and that's really unfortunate.
I formation for the Indians. Handoff up the middle, stuff for nothing. It's going to set up a 3rd and long, so Wayne Hills defense holding strong as they always do.
I mean, we've seen that tonight. Their defensive line and linebackers have been fantastic, not giving Fournier any time to throw the ball. And we have seen the few times that he has had a chance, he's either thrown a bad ball or the receivers just can't hold on to it.
I mean, this game is almost as boring as last year. 0-0. I don't think many people expected it.
No, but, I mean, like last year, maybe they underestimated Valley a little bit.
Well, Brian said that wouldn't be the case again, but here comes pressure from Wayne Hills. Pass is incomplete. Intended for Varelli on the screen, but defenders were there ready to make the tackle. And we might see Matt Dietz on here for the field goal.
Has anyone scored yet against Hills? No, right?
Nope.
No, so this could be
Wow.
this could potentially be the first 3. We don't, last year we remember the kicking struggles at Wayne Valley, but not for the Valley side. That was for Tim Divers.
That was for Tim Divers.
Let's
this
see
is
if-
this is a decently long kick.
Let's see if Dietz can return the favor.
Let's hope so.
It's going to be a 36, 37-yard field goal. From the middle of the field, kick is up, has the distance, and it's good. Matt Dietz with the field goal, and Valley takes the lead 3-0. And Joe, what was that you said before about the team that scores first?
Probably going to win the game, but it's
Let's
early.
hope not.
It's early.
We don't know how correct those predictions are.
And I probably meant a touchdown, 3 points. It's easy to come back.
We're going to have to see Kevin Olsen mature very quickly.
Yes. Brian Dowling's hurt. I don't know if you guys picked up on that.
Yeah,
early.
we did see he was hurt.
Up in the MSG booth, they have some more resources than we do. And the sideline reporter gave us an update on that, and they were icing his neck, and he had a lot of attention, as you would expect from about 3 or 4 coaches, and of course Margaret was over there, and he was just icing that neck. And I mean, Brian's a competitor.
Oh, yeah.
If there's any way he could be on the field, he's on that field, and that just tells you how serious of an injury that really is.
Here we see Mr. Hookstraight with MSG Varsity. We're just trying to get all the publicity we can tonight. John Vittas was on camera, and now Mr. Hookstraight is being interviewed as we see Dowling coming back onto the field. So I recognized when he wasn't on the punt return team, which he had done a fantastic job tonight, that something may have been wrong. It's good to see him back on the field here. We don't know how healthy he is. That is very important to know. We don't know what kind of state he is in right now. We saw on that leap almost into the end zone, he looked a little shaken up.
Yeah, but we know he won't be gun shy, man. He's going to go right into the Wayne Valley defense the rest of the game and try to get some more yardage.
Brian would break his collarbone for a W tonight. I mean, Anthony, you know a thing or two about broken upper body limbs.
That I do.
Kickoff taken by Dowling at the 30, breaks it at the 40, he's got room at the 50, there he goes, 40, 30, 25, 20.
Let's go!
To the house, and Hills goes on top, 7-3.
And John, that's always been a strength of Wayne Hills, their kick and punt return teams. We saw a few years ago, Tom DiBianca returned one to the house, and we also saw Brian Ogden against Northern Valley. You're right, PV returned it to the house to open the 3rd quarter. So that has always been a strength on, boosting Wayne Hills' energy and stamina, and just overall motivation and morale.
Probably the most important part, Wayne Valley just scored. And on the first play, Hill scores right after that.
That's a huge point, Joe.
And it's a huge momentum downer for Wayne Valley.
It really is. That's a shot to the throat if I ever saw one. Extra point from Dries is up and good. I mean, Anthony, midway through that play, I had flashbacks of Brian Ogden at PV.
John, I knew you did. That was you and myself at that game, and that was just incredible. It was tied going into
0-0
at half, and that was supposed to be a blowout. And PV was talking a big game at that point, trash talking a lot, and we had parents coming up to us and say, "What's going on with Wayne Hills?" Well, that's what's going on with Wayne Hills. We see Dowling take it all the way into the end zone. It's just incredible. Deja vu.
Wow.
Incredible.
I can't believe it just happened.
We were talking about him being hurt.
And he shuts us up, but he scores a touchdown.
You know that. Yeah, John said it. He's a competitor, and he'll be out there to do anything to help this team, and we just saw it. We just saw it right in front of our eyes.
If the line's not going to open up holes for him, he's going to find holes for himself.
Oh, yeah. We saw him just able to get to that outside, and once you break that first, big group of defenders
It's you and the kicker.
You're gone. You are really
it's
gone.
you versus Matt Dietz.
I mean,
and I think he has the edge there.
He's got the most playmaking skills I've ever seen from any athlete in any sport.
Now, we said the kicking ability of Mike Dries has been fantastic.
He's hurt again, apparently.
I think
just until he has to take another kick to the house.
Oh, that's a nice kick by Dries. Mike Varelli on the return.
And Varelli breaks it at the 50. There's one guy trying to catch him. He can't do it. Varelli inside the 30. There's a defender trying to get to him, and he can't do it. Touchdown, Wayne Valley, and they return the favor.
That's kind of a smack in the face. Mike Varelli able to find a crease on the outside. Makes it happen. Well, let's hope Dowling's healthy. Put him back in there in the kick return team. He's still on the sideline. They are massaging his neck. That was a heck of a return. That's kind of gut-wrenching. I mean, you finally get momentum back, and boom, they take the lead from you.
Did I say this game was boring a few minutes ago?
Take that back.
3 plays in a row. 3 plays in a row.
We're only midway through the second quarter, so there's going to be a couple more drives here for Wayne Hills to try to get back on top. So Valley has already elevated their point total from last year. I mean, they did that on the field goal.
Dowling definitely doesn't look
himself. As you see the replay, Varelli doing a great job, and I think that was Monahan missing the tackle.
I think that was Eugene.
Eugene.
Nothing he could have done there.
Sorry, Andrew.
I mean, you see here, he's just able to, exactly what Dowling did, get to the outside, beat that first bridge of people, and it's you, and in that case, it wasn't the kicker, it was you and Eugene Love. Just not able to stop him.
Eugene went for the legs there. He really had to just break down. But I'm not a football coach. As Brian, the pads are coming off, and that is not a good sign. So the kick from Dietz is up and good. It was a low one. So with that, Valley goes up 10-7 as Brian Dowling's now shirtless, and everybody on the Wayne Hill sideline even the players have turned around to look at what's going on with him. I mean, he has to be in so much pain. I mean, I would not be surprised if he broke a bone.
Well, this is why it was a good year for Kevin to be integrated into the system, not diminishing Brian's talent at all. He is a fantastic player, a D1 talent, and really a one-of-a-kind to come through Wayne Hills. But the skill players on this team are fantastic, and Hills is going to try to bring somebody in that can replicate his ability, and the only person I can think that can do that right now is Troy Zaffino, who we haven't seen at running back tonight, only in the slot, but he's a dynamic running back.
Yeah, Troy is Brian's little apprentice, as they're very similar athletes, but really all the attention's on Dowling on the sideline. You can look, the players have turned their attention away from the game to watch what's going on. He's got to be in pain. I mean, Anthony, I mentioned it before, we should probably finish the point before Brian broke the touchdown. You know a thing or two about upper body broken bones. I mean, you broke your ribs a few days ago playing backyard football, and you were able to score a touchdown just as Brian did after that. So do you think
it's almost like a stun factor? You get hit, you don't know what's going on, you're still up, and you just keep going. I don't know. I don't know what the severity of
Dowling's injury is. I know my 2 top ribs were broken.
I can't believe you're here tonight announcing.
I can't
You're a
believe
warrior,
bro.
bro.
I'm able to talk right now, to be honest.
So Dietz's kick is a good one. Line drive's going to be taken from the 1 to the 10, 20. Looks like Dries at the 30, and he's finally hit hard at the 31.
That was Troy Zaffino on the return. He's replacing
There
Brian
you
Dowling
go.
almost at every spot.
That's what Anthony suggested would happen. That's exactly what did happen. Troy replacing Brian.
We'll see if he's going to be the running back. Dom Santoro has entered the game. We do have a plethora of running backs this year.
Including Justin Beveridge, number 27.
I don't know if we're going to see him necessarily tonight, although he is a very hard runner, to say the least.
Well,
he runs downhill like no one I've ever seen before.
Santoro was the mop-up back last year. I'm surprised Troy's not back there, but Santoro does have much more power. As he's going to take it to the 35, picks up about 3 yards, maybe 4. So Santoro comes in and picks up plus yardage. But, I mean, you got to agree that if Wayne Hills is going to win this game, Kevin Olson needs to complete some passes.
Well, that's what it's going to come down to. The running game has gone down a few levels right now. I mean, you can't replace Brian Dowling, at least not for now.
You can't.
We're going to see what Wayne Hills can do without him, but the pass game is going to have to be it's going to have to really step up.
So it's another handoff. As they're still fighting, there's going to be a flag. Santoro with a strong run, picked up 2 on the play. There might be a face mask.
His helmet was off. I would imagine that would maybe pertain to it.
5:21 to go in the half.
I mean, John, this is the battle for Wayne right here. This is what you come out to see. 5:21 left in the first half. We're going to see what the penalty is.
And it's going to be
It looked like it
Wayne
was
Valley. Block in the back.
Block in the back.
So that's going to back them up. I'm sorry, that's going to push Hills forward. So that pushes the ball into Wayne Valley territory at the 48-yard line with 5:18 to go in the half. Kevin Olson leads his team to the line.
They're going to have to pass sooner or later.
It's just the elephant in the room right now.
Yeah.
Kevin needs to make some passes. It's going to be a fullback draw to Massey.
That's
and
not bad.
Massey falls forward for a gain of 8 or 9.
They could do that.
He's a bulldozer. He really is. He runs like a tank. He really just runs through you rather than around you. One of the strongest kids I've ever seen in my life.
I mean, he'll definitely put a pounding on that Valley defense if you want to try to soften him up a little bit. As Troy Zaffino comes in the game.
Second down, I say second and short. They could take a shot passing the ball here.
Yeah, definitely. But it's going to be a handoff. Santoro up the middle, picks up the first down, gets 4 yards on the play, gets down to the Valley 35, and Wayne Hills moves the chains.
They're also using up the clock. I don't think they want to give the ball back to Wayne Valley right now.
That's a good point. They're trying to score, take the lead, and not give Valley a chance to take it back. But of course, all you need is 1 second for Anthony Varelli to have an extra play.
See Dowling still on the sideline. Towels over
got
his
quiet
head.
here fast.
It's almost awkward. What do you do without Brian Dowling?
Olson's going to throw to the right, complete to Eugene Lowe, makes a move at the 25, and gets down to the 20-yard line. A good throw from Kevin Olson hitting Eugene Lowe on the curl, and Eugene made a nice move and picked up 6 yards after the catch. First down, Wayne Hills at the 19.
And that is how you establish the pass. You need one on your under your belt. And that's Kevin's one. Now he can throw the ball. Now he's got confidence. Exactly. He has the confidence. He knows he can do it. Now he's got to hit somebody in the end zone.
Monahan lines off a wide receiver.
So does Troy in the left slot. I formation. Troy goes in motion. It's going to be a handoff up the middle. Nothing there. Stuffed by a bunch of Valley players. Tronny and Kyle Fan, as well as Leneve. were all in there to make that play. So 3:06 and running here. So it's going to be second and about 11 from the 20 as Eugene comes back in the game.
Well, we're now in field goal range. At least I think so.
Yeah,
I don't know what
this
handle.
is the same distance Dietz hit his field goal from, exactly the same distance, and I'm sure Mike has the power to get it through.
Mm-hmm. So I wouldn't be surprised if we take a shot downfield right here, or in the end zone.
Two receivers to the left, I formation. Massey, the fullback. Olsen's going to look to throw. It's going to be incomplete. Intended for
Eugene Lowe. He had him open again. That's the second time he's missed Eugene tonight.
He missed him. And to me, it looked like Kevin couldn't see over the line right there as they were arms raised from the Valley defensive line. So 3rd and 10 for the Patriots. A big play here. I mean, you got to let Kevin throw the ball, but you also have to cross his fingers that he doesn't throw an interception. As Coach Olsen's going to take a timeout and shadow his son out to the field.
I honestly think they're going to run the ball here, try to get it a little closer for Dries, let the clock run a little bit.
That's a conservative play call, and Coach Olsen's not really a conservative coach.
I don't know how much they really feel that their offense can do right now. I mean,
well,
Dowling was the offense, in my opinion. He was the offense. He's a star.
Well, that's definitely true, but if Hills doesn't have confidence in their offense, you wouldn't play for the tie. You'd play to try to take the lead and hope your defense can hold that lead. So I really think Kevin needs to take one shot to the end zone. Don't make it a difficult pass. Maybe give him a fade to Eugene or Dries.
This is when Peter Davies comes into play in my mind at 6'4", a huge target. A huge target. I mean, it doesn't make it much easier to throw it to a guy. You can overthrow him, and his arms are so long that he could just reach up and grab it. So
yeah, that's definitely someone to look to. But Peter usually goes toward the middle of the field, which is more dangerous. And also Dries and Eugene have great ups. I mean, Dries can go up and catch it with the best of them. And you throw it into the corner of the end zone. It's a little more safe than a pass over the middle.
Yeah.
So I formation, man goes in motion. All signs indicate run. And there's going to be a flag before the snap. And if this is on the offense, that's a killer because that could knock him out of field goal range. And then maybe you will see a run to try to get him closer. And it is going to be a false start on the Patriots.
There's multiple guys jumping on that one.
What do you think is in Coach Olsen's mind right now?
Where's Brian Dowling? No, that can't be a mindset of a coach. A coach has confidence.
He's got to
play him.
Exactly.
He needs to work with the guys on the field. That's what it's got to be his number one concern. I think what he's thinking is, come on, son. You've been here for so many years. Make a play.
Or no. There it is.
There's the throw, and it's behind the receiver.
Now, are we in field goal range is my question.
So it's going to be a long field goal attempt. Dries is on the field. They're going to try the field goal.
Now he's got a boot. We've seen him on the kickoffs.
He can kick.
He's got a boot.
It's just a matter of whether he can kick it down the center. They are towards the middle of the field, a little bit to the right. Eugene Lowe is the holder. Russell Pekarski and Nick Massey behind the line, as you'll assume Valley's going to send the house. The snap is good, hold is good, kick is up and way short. Ooh. Yes, kick is short. It had a little more power than I initially thought just because Dries has such a good leg, but it fell about 1 or 2 yards short. So now let's throw it down to the fourth member of our broadcast team, Nick Appaluccio, who has a report for us. Nick?
Thanks, guys. No one really knows what happened with senior halfback Brian Dowling. I was walking along the sidelines and saw some trainers checking him for a concussion, but we'll just have to see what happens. Back to you guys in the booth.
So back here with 2:22 to go in the second quarter. Valley with the ball at their own 20-yard line. It's going to be a handoff up the middle, stuffed by Wayne Hills. Peter Davies and I think Joe Lane may be coming in from the other side to make the play. No gain there for Valley. It's going to take us down under 2 minutes here in the half.
This just in, John. Brian Dowling's injury seems to be a little more serious than what we had initially anticipated. It looks to be a concussion. We've seen in the professional, in the NFL at least, that concussions are being taken very seriously now. There are mental illnesses that have come with it, and the Players Association and unions have really been cracking down against concussions, so we don't know how quickly he's going to be back in this game, if at all.
There's definitely been a lot of publicity with concussions and the damages they can cause. Fournier is going to keep it to the right, trying to find space, and he does. Gets to the sticks, and he's taken out very close to the marker, and they're going to call a penalty. That looked like a pretty clean hit to me. That might have been Hogan coming over.
They're going to say he was out of bounds, personal foul.
I don't like that call.
Looked like he was in bounds, though, from our angle.
But going back to the concussion, if it is a concussion, that might explain why Brian looks so depressed over there. Because, I mean, and probably Margaret's just talking him, trying to console him and tell him, I mean, it's just a football game. You might have, you got to take things as safe as you can as you see the replay there. We're going to see if Fournier was out of bounds. He was going out of bounds when he was cut.
I don't like that call. I don't.
I think they blew that one, guys.
I like it a little bit more after seeing the replay, but I still don't agree with it. Fournier over the middle, complete to Varelli. He picks up the first down, a gain of 12 on the play, or maybe 13 as Wayne Valley gets the ball to the Wayne Hills 44.
We're going to go no huddle here.
With 1:25 to go, they're going to move the chains. Fournier in the shotgun. 4 receivers, 1 man joining him in the backfield, looks to throw to the right, and it's going to be incomplete, intended for Varelli on the out route. But going back to Brian, I'm sure he wants to play, and he's trying to talk his coaches into letting him go back in. But, I mean, if you don't pass that concussion test.
I think that's probably what they're doing now. If not, give him a little more time before he goes into the locker room to pass that test.
I mean, guys, you got to think about it. He might have a college career ahead of him.
Mm-hmm. This is just one game.
He doesn't want to hurt his chances. I mean, Wayne Hills is going to make the playoffs, in our estimate, nonetheless, this game.
So,
but it is, excuse me, John, it is Wayne Hills Wayne Valley rivalry, and I'm sure he wants to be in there.
3rd down. Fournier looks to his left. It's incomplete, intended for Fusco. I'm sorry, that's Mike Miller coming over. And you guys make a good point being a Mets fan. The Mets have had some serious concussions the last couple of years. Ryan Church and Jason Bay. And, they're fine, not too long after the concussion. And, of course, they want to play. But the training staffs know now that that second concussion is a million times more debilitating than the first.
Yep.
So, I mean, in baseball, chances are you're not going to get hit in the head again. But in football, there's a very good chance you will. So even if Brian seems okay, they're trying to avoid that second concussion as Fournier is under pressure. And he's finally taken down by Davies, and it looks like Jason Abedisian coming through to make the sack. I think Jason was the one to finally bring down Fournier by the ankles. So that's going to force Wayne Valley to punt now on 4th down with 54 seconds and counting. Wayne Hill's not using a timeout. So
the punt team has not been fantastic for Wayne Valley, so I wouldn't be surprised if they send the house here, maybe see if they could get a blocked kick before end of the half.
And then Wayne Hill's not calling a timeout. Just basically tells me they're going to take a knee.
Yeah.
They're going to blow it dead. Somebody took a timeout. Both teams only have 1 remaining. It's a timeout for Valley. That's their final timeout.
Bring Dowling into the locker room.
It's a long walk.
Hopefully. No, he's on the cart. Hopefully he will come back. And but I think we're much more worried about his health and safety rather than this game. But he is, in my mind, the offense, the entire offense. And this is a little demoralizing right now.
Last year, we had several weapons, basically Mike Quinn and Brian Dowling. And one of my knocks, at least going into this season, was, God forbid something happens to Brian Dowling, what happens with the offense? And now we're finally getting to see what indeed is going to happen with this offense. And I'm sure Coach is going to make adjustments at halftime and try to work Troy and Hogan and Lowe and Santoro into the offense more. And those kids need to step it up or they're not going to win this game.
Yep.
It's that simple. So Dietz to punt it away. It's going to be a high kick. Smart play there, not allowing Wayne Hills to return the ball. Monahan makes the fair catch at the 25. So with 22 seconds to go, Wayne Hills will most likely just take a knee here.
They're going to have to find a package that works for them. We haven't seen Troy in the backfield very much. I mean, one thing that has been Wayne Hills' backbone for as long as I've been announcing games or even coming to games has been the screenplay.
Yep.
So,
I mean,
maybe it's time to integrate that back into the offense right now.
You don't have to look too far to remember that being effective. If you remember, last year at Wayne Valley, Brian Dowling broke 2 very long runs on screenplays, and those were basically all his yards as the pitches to Santoro getting to the 35, and that'll probably take us to halftime. And Anthony, you make a great point. That is how Wayne Hills beat Wayne Valley last year, and they're going to have to pull something out of their hats if they want to win this game.
Coach Olson's going to call his last time out here.
So they're probably going to run one more run play and hope Santoro can break it.
You can never say never. It's the best way I could put it. This is, it's been an interesting first half, to say the least.
This team's got to dig deep within themselves and try to find a way to win this game. It's all there is to it.
We said this was a good Wayne Valley team coming in, and it almost hasn't been them overplaying us, but our one mistake that we've seen. We saw they're up by 3 right now, and that 3 came from the interception from Alex Trani.
Not to make excuses, but one play that stands out to me is that punt from Dietz in the end zone.
Oh, I agree with that 100%.
That went out of bounds at the 20-yard line, and they marked it at the 35. The 20-yard line is field goal range for Hills. They're within, they could smell the end zone from there. They ended up, I believe, getting stopped at the 1-yard line on that drive.
James Hogan was not able to push it in.
Exactly, and if they had been if that ball had been marked at the 20. I mean,
it's a totally different game right now, in my opinion. Maybe that's just me, and I think that you agree with me on that.
Yeah.
Totally different.
I think we might have been missing something on the call because I don't think the refs could screw it up that bad. And Coach Olson would have ran onto the field and not let play continue if that wasn't a fair call. As the pass is incomplete, it hit one of the players, and I think that might be Zaffino coming up lame there on the far side. He's gripping his leg. Could be Dries. It's very hot out today. It could be a cramp, and that is Troy Zaffino coming off the field as he falls to the ground in pain.
That's a cramp.
I mean, Margaret might be busy with Dowling in the locker room. I don't know who's. Oh, luckily there's an assistant trainer right there to help him out, as they are bending Troy's foot, so that's definitely a cramp. So Olson looked to throwing deep. He airs it out for Eugene. It's going to be intercepted by Wayne Valley as the clock strikes 0. So a big tackle from Eugene to prevent that from going the other way. So that'll do it for the first half of action here from Wayne Hills High School. Wayne Valley leading Wayne Hills 10-7. I mean, a lot of storylines in this first half. Anthony, I mean, thoughts?
I'm getting a major deja vu effect from last year at Wayne Valley. It was slow. It was a slow game. This is a little bit quicker, but that's only because of a turnover and 2 quick kick returns for touchdowns. It's going to come down to the second half. Can we replace Brian Dowling, or is he back? If he's back, I think we're okay. I think we still got a shot at winning this game. If he's not, we are going to have to find an offense that can win this game. Because our defense is playing great right now. Defense has let up 3 points. Not the defense's fault. On either side, because it was a kick return from Brian Dowling that led to the touchdown. So it's going to come down to, it may be a mistake from Wayne Valley or the offense really picks it up.
I mean, I really think Coach Olson is confused going into the locker room. Like, for 3 years, he centered this offense around number 9, Brian Dowling, and now he's not here. I mean, I really don't think he's going to come back with the second half with a concussion. So you're right, Anthony. They're just going to have to find a way, find an offense, find a player that can take over this offense.
It all comes down to being prepared, and Wayne Hills needs to be prepared for something like this to happen. To me, Anthony said deja vu of the game last year. To me, I hate to say it, it's deja vu of St. Joe's to me.
Oh, yeah.
There's more scoring in this game like there was in St. Joe's. Low scoring, back and forth game, special teams having an impact. Valley's game last year, we were up 7-0 at the half. Although we were surprised Wayne Hills wasn't more ahead, they were still in control of the game. They're down 10-7 right now. To me, this reminds me of St. Joe's. We'll be back. Hills Wayne Valley crosstown clash with the Wayne Valley Indians leading the Wayne Hills Patriots by a score of 10-7. And of course the big storyline so far, Wayne Hills running back and Mr. Do Everything Brian Dowling is out of the game with an apparent either concussion or collarbone type injury after he hit the ground hard after leaping toward the pylon and landing on his neck. So Hills is going to most likely have to go into the second half without their star running back. And Anthony, who needs to step it up?
It's going to have to be Kevin Olson. I mean, we've seen that the running game can bounce
good
back
evening, ladies and gentlemen.
from Dowling's injury. We put in Dom Santoro and Troy Zaffino, and they've done a sufficient job up to this point. But we've had wide receivers open, and this is almost getting redundant. We've had receivers open. We've overthrown them, and the one play to Troy Zaffino right before the end of the half where you need to overthrow him almost and put it in a spot where he can go and get it, he underthrew him. So he's gonna have to have made a huge adjustment during the break.
Well, you guys, I mean, their kick return game was flawless in the first half. I mean,
Yeah.
Brian Dowling, had a touchdown on a kick return, but now he's not here.
Mm-hmm.
Andrew Monahan and I believe
Sticking with it, Joe.
Troy Sfina are going to have to step up their game and put Wayne Hills in good field position to score.
I agree. Field position is going to be key because we've seen that Kevin Olson cannot lead us, very far down the field. He has been able to make a few passes, but he hasn't been able to really lead a drive without the help of another person. So he's going to have to, do that, and field position is going to be, very important in that process.
Well, Wayne Hills has gotten their public address system back on track. We can only hope that the football team is back on track.
Yeah. Let's hope so. They're going to have to come out with some fire and intensity.
They have the ball to start the half, and I think they really need to make a statement coming out of the locker room that they're pumped up and are here to take the win tonight. Because they're behind. It's not like they're ahead and they're nursing a lead like they usually are. They're behind. They need to come back. They need to initiate plays on offense. You can't run the ball and run the clock out like they normally do. And in order for them to put points up, like Anthony said, Kevin needs to complete passes. And he can definitely do that. He's got the capabilities. He's got the arm. He just needs to get everything in sync with each other and make the throws.
John, this is going to be a game where champions are made, or broken down, in my opinion. If he can, jumpstart his maturation process halfway through this game, it says something. It really does.
Wayne Hills has a very difficult schedule this season. Now, this was one of the games, of course, highlighted because of Wayne Valley, but there are other teams on the schedule that are much more difficult than Wayne Valley. If you can't beat Wayne Valley, what are you going to do against Ramapo on the road and St. Joseph on the road?
Mm-hmm. Those are two huge games, and they're much better teams than Wayne Valley. Although it does seem that Wayne Valley really plays up, to their full potential against Wayne Hills. So
yeah, but Wayne Hills should play up to their full potential against the
I agree
crosstown rival.
100%. And right now they're underplaying their potential. Now they're going to have to play to every person's full future potential without Brian Dowling.
Kevin Olson needs to go up fast as they're going to give a bouncy here. Picked up cleanly at the 22. Breaking a run to the 40-yard line. I believe that could be Massey. And he's going to take it out to the 43-yard line. Late hit, and they didn't call it. So nonetheless, Wayne Hills will have great field position to start this opening drive of the second half.
See, John, that's something that really aggravates me because we saw in the first half Andrew Fournier going out of bounds on a boot to the right side, and he gets hit, and there's a penalty. There's a hit after the play there, and nothing's called. Keep it even.
Well,
I'm not even saying it's biased refereeing. I'm saying call the right, plays. Don't be one-sided and don't,
Make the call that should be made.
Exactly.
Well, that's what this whole side of the field is saying. And I'm sure Coach Olson is letting the refs know what he thinks. So here we go. This new revamped offense minus Brian Dowling takes the field. It's going to be a reverse to the right, nothing there. So it's going to be 2nd and 10 for Wayne Hills.
Number 3, James Hogan on the carry.
That was Hogan on the sweep. The blocking wasn't there.
31, Mike Fusco on the tackle.
I mean, what do you think is going through Kevin's mind right now?
No gain on the
I got to throw the
play.
ball to the right person. And
I think
throw
that's
it
on everybody's mind.
throw it actually to them. Well,
I think
he's one of us right now. He's not the god that we had hoped he'd be.
I think he's thinking, let's go. I got to pump myself up and focus here. And that pass is dropped. Kevin made a perfect throw.
Olsen's pass intended for Zaffino is incomplete.
And that was dropped by Troy Zaffino. And that's very uncharacteristic of Troy.
Well, at least it was a good throw.
That's a good sign.
Going on the right track.
Oh, Dowling's back in.
That looks like Brian Dowling.
What? We were told he was going to be out of the game with a concussion. He must have passed the concussion test during halftime.
Oh, man. The Brian Dowling chants have started as this whole side of the field takes a sigh of relief.
Oh, man.
That's even if he's not involved in this play, that's a huge psychological edge. Olsen's
No,
going for the screen, and it's going to go to Dowling. Shakes off a defender, and he drags him to the 50. He's short of the marker by about 4 yards.
If he could show he's healthy, there's
Well-
some. It almost looked like he was a secret there for a second.
Well-
keep him out the first 2 plays. Oh, 3rd down, there he is.
He didn't hurt his legs, that's for sure.
His presence alone
And he's
pumps
gonna
up
be
this
kicking.
team.
He's going to be kicking still. So.
That's what I said. It's psychological. Even if they use him as a decoy, if he's not healthy enough to take on hits, just him being there is going to lift this team. And you don't
This is exciting now.
you don't realize how valuable someone is to you until they're not there. And that's what happened tonight. Dowling's kick going to be fielded at about the 20. Fair catch made there, so Valley's going to start their own drive at the 20 as Mike Varilli made the fair catch.
It's a whole new ball game. My mood just got
You look happier.
a little better.
You look
Because
happier.
I was worried at halftime. I really was. Wayne Hills' offense was, based upon the play of Brian Dowling. It really was, and I don't think anybody could deny that. I mean, of course, you're going to say, oh, the skill players around him are important too, but if you can't establish anything or even find your identity on the offensive side, these other skill players are going to be meaningless.
It's amazing how valuable high school superstars are. I mean, in the past, you think of, okay, Ray Van Penen was the leader of that team, but then there's 10 other guys around him that you think have a huge contribution, and of course they do. You can't win a championship with one player, but I mean, it just shows how important one person can really be to a high school team as opposed to the pros where everyone's good. I mean, everyone's great. Of course, there's plenty of good players on Wayne Hills, but Brian is actually not in on defense right now, so of course.
I'd keep him healthy for the offensive side.
I mean, our defense is it's got to be one of the best in the country, I think. And there's going to be a false start on the left tackle, maybe the left guard. I mean,
That's a step in the right direction for the referees.
Seems that they did make that play right.
I hope I don't get fined for saying that.
Who's going to find you?
I don't know. We see criticism get fined in all sports levels now.
We're not getting paid, so there's nothing to be taken out.
Touche, my friend, touche.
2nd and 14 for Valley. Fournier in the gun. He's going to look to throw to his right, rolls that way, comes back the other side for a screen. It's finally juggled and caught as the receiver is laid out there for a loss of 3.
That's the junior Dom Santoro on the hit.
I mean, yes. Santoro's a starting linebacker, and we saw him at running back in the first half. Maybe that pumped him up a little bit, getting to play both ways.
I think Wayne Hills has come out to play the second half.
I hope
They
so.
didn't look it walking out on the field.
No, but as soon as they stepped on the field, it was a whole different ball game.
Literally a whole different ball.
I really think walking on the field and stepping on the field is the same
Well,
thing.
they did walk on the field and initially to start the game, too.
True, and they came out with some intensity.
Yes, they did.
But not punching it in on that drive at the inside the 5 really stands out to me as a blown opportunity that could have really set the tone. Fournier back to pass, pressure coming from Davies, throws it over the middle, incomplete. Safino there on the coverage, but Peter Davies was bringing the pressure, and Fournier just chucked it, and that's going to force Valley to punt. So Peter Davies has had a good game.
Looks like Dowling is back on the punt return team, too. This is very interesting because I was told he was going to be out for the second half, so.
Hey, and I think
I'm not going to argue.
I don't like this false information.
I'm not going to argue, okay? But, I mean, we saw there Davies really just destroying what is the prized possession of the Wayne Valley offensive line and Kyle Fant, so blew right through that gap.
Well, I know Wayne Hills' defense is great, all 11 players, but I think Peters had a huge impact in this game because he's put pressure on the quarterback several times and had that huge sack, and I think that's kind of scared Andrew Fournier a little bit as Dowling's going to field it and go out of bounds. And I think that really might have rattled Fournier as a lot of his passes have been off the mark, and just the presence of Peter coming at you is scary enough. And I know Andrew's a great quarterback, but he's been off the mark, and I think you got to give Peter a lot of credit because he's one of the few Patriots having a good game tonight.
Oh, he has really impressed me tonight with his, not only tackling ability, he's able to shed away defenders and blockers, which has been fantastic. And he is getting in Fournier's face all night. He is showing that D1 speed and burst off the line that everybody is attracted to.
Yeah, one of the units on Wayne Hills that hasn't let up tonight is the defensive line. Jason Avedisi and Roberto Alvarez, Joe Lane, they've all been coming at Fournier all night, and they're one of the few units that's done a great job tonight. Is that handoff up the middle by Massey goes forward for a gain of about 2 or 3 yards. So the running game without Dowling has been getting plus yards, and without Brian getting the ball there, you would think that they're going to try to limit him and put him in on plays that are extra special, especially if it's a concussion. You want to try to limit those hits as much as possible.
It would appear that it's not because, normally you're extremely dazed from a concussion. From my understanding, I've never had one. So
well, there's been a lot of watching sports as Kevin drops back to pass, looks deep down the right sideline. This one looks to be on target, and it's caught by Troy Zaffino inside the 20-yard line. Wayne Hills with their first big play of the day, and they're knocking on the door.
That's what we've been waiting for. The emergence of the star, Kevin Olsen, what he's most likely gonna be on every single pass play. That was a great pass and catch. Troy and Kevin, that's gonna be a dynamic duo for the next few years.
I guess he got a little confidence from that throw.
That was a huge catch by Troy laying out to make the play. They're gonna stick with the I formation. Santoro's in the game. Kevin's going to throw again. He's got his man. It's complete at the 10. Shaking and baking down toward the 6 is Mike Drees, and he's right around the marker. I think he got it.
This is what we all waited for, John. This is a totally different Wayne Hills team right now. They are throwing the ball effectively. They are running the ball and throwing the ball, which sets up the play action and the over-the-top passes, what we saw there, which is fantastic. You can see Troy had him beat, not by much, but he got a little bit of separation, which he almost had in the end of the first half, and that was a perfect placed ball from Kevin Olsen.
Someone lit a match under Kevin Olsen at the break because his first 2 passes have been money. It's going to be a handoff up the middle. I think it's Dowling inside the 5. Gets down to about the 3-yard line, so second and goal for Hills from the 3.
I'm excited, Ant.
Oh, man.
6:41 to go in the third, and this is a huge possession for Hills trying to take the lead.
They're going to bring in Russ Pekarski. He played a little bit of fullback last year when Massey and Dita Electus were hurt.
Well, they're going with that.
This is the power formation.
2 fullbacks in the game, handoff up the middle. Dowling pushing the pile toward the end zone, and they're going to mark him short at the 1.
Ooh. Maybe blew that play a little early.
Dowling on the carry.
So 2 plays to get it in. Coach Olsen is not kicking a field goal at the 1.
On the tackle.
Do they run again?
I think so.
Yeah.
I honestly think they do, but I've been
Impressed with Kevin's passing.
impressed with Kevin. You're right. I have been. This is a big play right here. This is
This-
4 down territory.
This would say a lot about Valley's defense if they could come up with 2 goal line stands, but obviously that's not what Hills is looking for. Handoff up the middle, pushing the pile is Dowling. He's right there. Olsen wants the touchdown, and they're not going to give it to him. 4th down for Wayne Hills from the 1-inch line. And if I haven't,
They're gonna go for it.
Oh yeah.
If not, they could get pressure on Fournier again. Maybe force a pick
Hey,
six.
hey, let's score a touchdown first.
Let's score the touchdown is right. But if not, plan B. You have horrible field position, and your D-line has been impeccable tonight.
They mark it inside the 1. 5 minutes and counting in the 3rd quarter. Valley up by 3. And there's going to be a timeout taken, I think. Official timeout. So
They're probably going to argue over the spot. Kevin looked worried there for a second. Ooh, this is exciting. This is what it's all about right now. I wonder what's going on, though. This is strange.
So I think one of the teams must have called a timeout. Either that or
Well,
there's
it looks like there's something wrong with one of the referees, not like physically, but
The timeout is for Wayne Hills.
there it is, Wayne Hill's timeout.
It's so nice to have Mr. Mezzi back.
He helps everything. He really does.
Well, I forgot my glasses today. And
And we know that can't happen.
yeah, I apologize.
In a big game like this, John,
it happened.
that's
It
terrible.
happened at Valley last year too.
And we won that game, so
So lose them again.
And I had some replacement glasses in the first half, and we didn't do too well.
Always prepared.
And now they're gone, and we're doing well. So we're gonna keep them off. But again, I apologize if I mess up the numbers, as I believe in the first half I gave a sack to Jason Avedisian, and Jason's a great defensive lineman, but I believe Roberto Alvarez actually made that sack.
Valley is starting their Indian chant. That's the Florida. They started from Florida State.
If they make a stop here, it's gonna get a lot louder.
Well, they already had the vuvuzelas going for them. They brought those over.
What
for the World
happened?
Cup.
They're gone.
You can't hear them.
So here we go. Biggest play of the game. 4th and inches from the goal line. Power formation for Hills. No receivers. Handoff up the middle. Pile is being pushed. They're trying to get there. It all depends on the spot. They're gonna give the ball to Wayne Valley. 2nd defensive goal line stand for the Indians. And they'll take it over from the 1.
Well, again, push to the quarterback right now. Get as many men as you can in the box.
Don't lose your focus on defense.
Gotta give credit to Valley's defensive line. Kyle Fant, Nick Billy, Conforth, and Ruth have done a great job. Of course, joined by the linebackers, led by Andrew DeFilippis, have just done a tremendous job tonight, especially on those 2 goal line stands. That's the difference. It's 21-10 Hills if they don't make those 2
See the replay.
stands.
It looks like Brian got in. I mean, it's hard to tell from that kind
It's
of
a
angle.
huge pile.
It's hard to tell.
I mean, the refs had no view of that.
Wayne Valley.
Well, this is the D-line's time. I honestly, you know they're going to run. They're not going to give a play action. That doesn't give them enough time in the pocket.
Definitely.
They're going to run. You may as well stack the box. Not let them get to bring a linebacker to outside the D-ends. Have the D-ends try to bull rush instead of, try to get to the outside. Shoot another guy up the gap. Try to just stop them on the line. See, we almost had a safety on the other side. So if we can get pressure, maybe force a fumble or an interception, that's huge.
One thing Wayne Hills has done this season, which is a little unusual, they've rushed James Hogan off the edge a lot, coming as a stand-up defensive end to rush 5, and James has done a great job with that. So they're probably going to stick with that for quite a few of the plays. So here we go, 1st and 10 for Valley from their own 1. Hills in their traditional 4-4. Fournier's going to sneak it up the middle. And he's going to get 4 yards. I don't know how he got through there. But he was spinning and got to that 5. So something happened in the middle there for Hills because Fournier snuck through that hole and got into the linebacker level. So 2nd and 9 from their own 5 with 4:30 to go in the third. It's going to be another handoff up the middle this time. Good defense, nothing there for Wayne Valley. A gain of no more than 1, and it's going to set up a 3rd and about 4, maybe 5.
You know, guys, this whole game, the Wayne Hills defense hasn't played bad.
No,
they just got to continue what they're doing. They'll be all right.
Only 3 points have been scored against them, and that's because of bad field position.
Wayne Hills' defense never plays bad.
No.
They gave up very few points against Ramapo. Number escapes me, but they gave up 17 points against St. Joe's, a team that had 4 Division I prospects. They shut down everybody. They've already pitched 2 shutouts this year. It's never their fault if they lose a game, in my opinion. Shotgun for Fournier on 3rd down. Davies trying to get through. Pass over the middle, incomplete. It was a low throw. The receiver dove trying to make the play and couldn't quite come up with it.
Looks like Anthony Varelli was the intended receiver, and it looks like he's a bit hurt, shaking up.
I think it might have been
it might have hit
been
right
a
off
sock.
his shin.
I don't know if it's an injury.
That was a confusing play because he dove. You couldn't really see what happened on the inside of that.
So Dowling's out there once again to return the punt.
Hope for a muff punt.
Like the first half.
Like the first half is right.
But
Maybe
you gotta
right
allow
in between his legs.
You gotta allow for 15 yards of referee mistake breathing room. The punt from Dietz is away. It's a high kick. It's a good kick. Takes Dowling back to the 50. He muffs it. Has to go all the way back to his own 40. He gets a block there. Gets back to the 50. Breaks it at the 45, and he's tripped up by, might have been his own man. Brian does a good job of getting all the way back inside the Valley 40. So a very nice return after initially muffing the punt as he had to make the over-the-shoulder catch. Not an easy play. Good punt from Dietz.
Yeah, that one really carried, John. You saw there, Joe, it was your boy Andrew Monahan who really sprung that return. He laid a nice block on, gave Dowling a hole, and it looked like he almost ran into Joey Lane.
I think it was Casey.
It might have been. I'm not quite sure who it was. He was looking to lay another block on somebody else to give Dowling another hole, but he just ran into him.
So 1st and 10 for Kevin Olson and the Patriots at the Valley 38-yard line. I formation. It's going to be a fullback dive up the middle. They pick up 3 or 4 yards on the play, making it a reasonable 2nd down for Wayne Hills. That was Hogan on the carry. And guys, talking to Brian Dowling earlier in the week, he said a pretty big statement about James. He said James is the most underrated player on this football team. And Mr. Hogan has been injured. He's been injured for the last year and a half. And according to some players, this is the first week that James is fully healthy as the pass is dropped there by, I think, Troy. And it was intended for Zaffino, but going back to Hogan, from what the players say, this is the first week he's back at 100%. And considering how strong James is and how versatile he is, I mean, he was a quarterback growing up for a lot, not his whole career. He was mostly a running back, but 8th grade and early on in high school, he was a quarterback. So he can throw the ball. We know he can run with the ball. We know he can knock people over. So with James at 100%, that's just another weapon for Wayne Hills.
MSG Varsity High Definition.
So 3 receivers, flags fly, could be on Hills. Hogan was the only setback on that play.
Flag prior to the snap.
As it looks like Zaffino might be cramping up again on the sidelines. It is indeed a false start on Hills. So it's going to back it up, make it 2nd and 11.
Procedure against the Patriots. 3rd and 12.
I believe the false start was on Sam Schultz. So I formation now for Hills. Dowling in motion. It's going to be a pass. Kevin Olson, pressure coming, dumps it off to Massey, makes the catch, trying to elude some defenders, picks up a few yards on the play before he's finally tackled at the 35-yard line. So Hills picks up 5 yards on the play, and that is going to set up 4th and 7. And Wayne Hills is going to punt the ball.
I think this is a smart decision here. Don't force anything. You still have a whole quarter left.
Well, like I said,
And the offense has started rolling now, so.
Yeah, but like I said, Wayne Hills' defense is shut down. I'd like to see him go for it. Considering Kevin's been able to complete the medium distance passes, I don't see Wayne Valley's offense marching 64 yards down the field on Wayne Hills' defense. But it's still early. It's still the 3rd quarter. Only a 3-point game as Nick DeSico checks in for punt.
We've seen who was the injured player for Hills. It looked like Dom Santoro was cramping. It's going to be a delay game on Hills. I think that gives Dowling a little more breathing room rather than kicking it into the end zone.
As Santoro comes right back on the field replacing DeSico. And they're going to take a delay of game penalty and back it up 5 yards. I guess Brian's leg was too good for that punt from the 36. So they're going to give him some more room to work with. Plenty of time to kick it. And it's a good one. Inside the 15. It goes out of bounds at about the 14. So Brian pins him inside the 20. And that's where Wayne Hills' defense is going to have to dig deep again and make another stop.
One guy we haven't seen that we saw in the Hackensack and Eastside games was Roberto Alvarez.
He really hasn't been a factor.
He has been shooting up the A-gap in those first 2 games.
He did make a sack in the 2nd quarter. I said it was Jason Abadisi, but it was Roberto tripping up the quarterback. But then again, everybody did get through on that play. The whole D-line was there to make the sack. So but he has made 1 appearance.
He needs a little more pressure, I feel. I mean, he's one of the fastest players on the D-line I've seen in a while.
Davies makes a huge play off the ball, but he can't get there. Bouncing it to the outside is Leneve, and he's able to turn the corner and get across the 25 before he's laid out there by Dom Santoro. But Leneve was able to tiptoe inside the sidelines and pick up the 1st down.
Reese is limping. He's the one that laid the hit on Leneve.
You know, and he has had some ankle problems over the last 2 weeks. It might be affecting his kicking.
Maybe. That one play just looked like he got a little too under it. So.
Yeah. So Fournier under center now. 1:30 to go in that 3rd quarter. Hills stacking the box. 1 man in the backfield. They pitch it to him. That's Leneve cutting it inside, and he initially found a hole, but he's taken down after a gain of just 2. So Wayne Hills linebackers again doing a great job of stuffing the run game.
There was Avadizi in there waiting for Leneve to run into him. Just running into a house. It's a big kid.
For 2 houses.
Yeah.
Well, Jason starts on defense and Justin starts on offense. And I can guarantee you that next year they'll both be starting both ways. Under a minute to go now. 2 receivers for Valley, or 3 receivers. And it's going to be a false start on the left guard. That was number 66, Corey Conforth. So that's going to back them up 5 and set up a 2nd and 13. Something similar happened to Wayne Hills on the last drive. 2nd down and 7 became 2nd and 12, and now 2nd and 8 becomes 2nd and 13 for Valley.
Bringing in a whole different lineup now.
We got to change the formation. As I believe Hills has brought in 2 safeties as well. Eugene Lowe in the game. 4 receivers for Valley, 2 to each side. Leneve in the backfield. Fusco goes in motion. And play action. Fournier back to pass. Pressure coming from Davies. Throws it to the right. Incomplete. A Wayne Hills linebacker contested that pass, and it must have thrown off the receiver.
That one looked to be like Russ Pekarski again. That's his 2nd dropped interception of the night.
He didn't touch that ball, I don't think.
Ooh, look close.
Maybe tipped it, but that was not a catchable ball.
Yeah.
Russell's not the tallest kid, about 5'10". But he's a great linebacker. He started it 2nd on the team in tackles last year as a junior. As you see, big number 40, Peter Davies, is the pass. When it did go through the hands.
Right through his hands. That's the 2nd one tonight. That went through his hands.
Well, he had an interception against Hackensack on a similar play where he made the catch. And that one was very high. It was a tough one.
Yeah, oh yeah.
So Fournier in the shotgun on 3rd and long. 3 receivers. Fournier looking to the right. Plenty of time to throw. Goes deep down to a covered receiver, and Varelli can't quite haul it in.
Good coverage all day long, guys.
Well, Fournier had to force it to his go-to man, Anthony Varelli, and Varelli got up the ladder.
He looks like he's cramping
And
now.
Anthony mentioned he might have been injured earlier in the game. I didn't think he was, but it looks like you might have been right because he goes down with the cramp as he's trying to stretch that toe out, and it looks like a calf cramp.
Yeah.
Just
I mean,
like
he was limping off the field before. That was very close, actually. I mean, we've said how much of an athlete Anthony Varelli is playing all three sports.
That's one of those things when you get that high in the air, your muscles tense up.
Oh yeah.
And that calf, that's usually when your calf cramps when you get airborne. So you're going to help him off the field. He's walking off under his own power. I'm sure they're just going to try to stretch that out, and he should be back in the game at some point. So 12 seconds to go. Valley's going to have to punt, as Wayne Hills' secondary has just done a great job shutting down Verrilli, Tallarico, and Fusco.
I mean, the one time that they had a open receiver downfield is Anthony Varelli, and he was not able to hold on to the ball. So the defense has been, incredible tonight. Honestly, incredible.
It always is. Just that special teams lapses cost them in the first half. So 4th down, Valley to punt it away to Dowling and Monahan. They're going to probably give Dietz a few more yardages. Yeah, Brian signaling, let's back it up 5 yards so that doesn't happen again.
My boy Monahan's going to step it up this play.
Let's hope so.
Your key player, Joe.
I'd love to see him.
It's really making me look bad right now.
There's a bad snap again.
It's still a good kick. It's going to bounce at about the 43. Dowling's going to field it. Shakes and bakes at the 45, across the 50, at the 45-40. Dragging people inside the 35. And he takes it to the 31. How electric is Brian Dowling?
He's so good.
He was hurt today? I didn't know that. You couldn't tell from that or any of Brian's plays tonight that he was injured ever.
I mean, you think the play is dead, but he just turns it into 20 yards the other way.
I was about to say, punt's going to take a bounce out of bounds, and Hill's going to take it from their own 43, but instead they're going to take it from Valley's 31. But, I mean, Brian had a concussion. His legs are fine. His elusiveness is not going to be lost. So that's going to do it for the third quarter of action here from Patriot Stadium, with Wayne Hills still trailing the Wayne Valley Indians 10-7. But some signs of life from Wayne Hills in that third quarter.
Oh, I honestly think that Wayne Hills won that quarter, even though they didn't score any points. That was their quarter. And I think that their momentum is going to carry straight into the fourth because their offense finally started to get moving just because of goal line stand. That's the second one. That I honestly don't think that matters right now. I think that they're going to score very quickly on this drive.
I mean, and Kevin Olsen's got to have a boatload of confidence going into this fourth quarter. I mean, he's completed some passes, completed a deep ball to Troy Sofino. So I'm expecting a big quarter out of him.
Oh, yeah.
Well, in my mind,
he's going to have one.
Mm-hmm.
In my mind, there's 3 things that stand out in this game. One were the 2 goal line stands by Valley, because otherwise it's 21-10 Wayne Hills. The second thing is the special teams laps that gave up the touchdown, because again, if that didn't happen, Wayne Hills would be winning. And the third thing, I don't know why this is standing out in my mind so much, but it is.
It's the punt.
It's the punt. It keeps bothering me.
John, it was if there was a misunderstanding there, maybe there was a penalty after the play that added 15 onto it.
It must have been
a personal foul. Hill should have had that ball at the 25. Instead, they got it at almost the 40. That was ridiculous. The field position, you're already in field goal range.
It must have been a penalty.
Well, we're going to try to get that information.
Oh,
somehow. You guys won't be able to sleep tonight.
We'll figure it out. This is a big quarter right here. I think if they score on this drive, it's over.
Oh, that's a big statement. Well, the defense is shutting down Valley completely. But still, Fournier's arm scares me, and Varelli's athleticism scares me. I know our secondary's been locked down, but
we haven't even seen Mike Tallarico tonight.
Yeah. But still, Mike Varelli can go up and catch it over anyone. I know our defensive backs are also very athletic. But still, just that combination of Fournier's arm and Varelli's athleticism.
Varelli's also a good 3 or 4 inches taller than any of our D-backs, so.
Yeah.
And other than Eugene Lowe.
And if you look at missed opportunities from the Valley perspective. Anthony Varelli kind of dropped what would have been another touchdown for them, too, earlier in the game.
2 in 2 years.
Against Hills.
If we win this game, that's going to be something that they have to look back at. 2 years in a row. One, a fumble forced out by Brian Dowling last year at Wayne Valley. This year, a ball right on the money, in his hands, not able to hold on to it. I honestly think he's injured tonight, though. He's shown signs of explosiveness, but he's also had some mental lapses, or we've seen him limp off the field a few times. So I'm not sure.
So Wayne Hills is going to start the drive from their own 31-yard line. Brian Dowling got them 30 yards of field position on that return. That helps out so much. I mean, that almost puts them in field goal range, you know, a few 5-10 more yards, and we could tie the game. But, of course, Hill's going for the lead. So they break the huddle. Dowling in the backfield, I formation, one receiver. It's going to be a run up the middle to Brian. Gets into the linebacker level. Picks up 6 yards on the play. 2nd and 4 for Wayne Hills.
And that gives you so many more options.
Yep.
Because this becomes 2-down play, unless you get a negative yardage play here. I mean, you could run it again, and then you have 3rd and 4th down to either pass or try to get the first down.
Or kick the field goal.
All of the above.
That's a nice first down gain for Hills. So Kevin bringing the play out to the huddle. In the 4th quarter now.
Up of about 7 seconds and 3.
2nd and 4 from the Valley 25-yard line. Valley stacking the box now. I formation for Hills. Again, only one receiver. 2 tight ends. There's a handoff to Dowling again, trying to shake it outside, and that was a bad idea.
And there's negative yardage for you, John.
There you go.
He loses 3 on the play, and that's going to back it up to the 28.
See, that's when a matured quarterback calls his own audible.
And throws the ball.
Yeah. Or at least almost throws it out of bounds or something like that. Yeah, rather than getting negative yards. Now it's 3rd and 7, 3rd and 6.
Well, if you're Kevin Olson, it's hard to take the ball out of Brian Dowling's hands.
Definitely.
Is Olson taking a long time to let his son out there. Gave him a lot of coaching on that play. I think they got to pass the ball here. It is 2-down territory inside the 30. And Wayne Hill's going to have to take that time out. I noticed them taking a lot of time on that call, and to avoid the delay of game, they had to call a timeout.
There's no margin for error at this time of the game.
And I believe that's their 2nd timeout of the half. I could be wrong. But those are timeouts Hills might need down the stretch. And we saw it last year in the first half. Hills used all 3 of their timeouts, and on the drive at the end of the half, they didn't have any to use. I don't know if you guys remember that.
Yeah, I do, John. At least this time it's in the 4th quarter, saving it up.
I mean, this rivalry is just getting better and better every time we play. It all started out with the state championship at Giant Stadium a few years ago.
That was an incredible environment.
That was unreal. I mean, there was probably 3 times as many people at that game than there is here. And Wayne Hills pulled that one out 27-7. And then last year, of course, the thriller that we've been referring to all night at Wayne Valley Stadium, where Wayne Hills won 7-0 in a very exciting game. I mean, that 4th quarter was so action-packed, and we can only hope this one's the same way. But this time, Hills trails by 3, 10-7 on their home turf. Both teams trying to get to 3-0 on the season. I mean, certainly this game isn't going to knock anyone out of the playoffs, but it's certainly going to send one of these teams in the wrong direction. So now we're going to send things down to the field where Nick Appaluccio has a report for us. Nick?
Thanks again, guys. The Wayne Hills offense really needs to step it up in this 4th quarter if they want any shot at winning this game. Although losing, the Wayne Hills defense has only given up really about 50 yards. So we're going to need to start seeing some production from the Wayne Hills offense if they want to win this game. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Nick. So as we go commercial free here, Wayne Hills has a huge 3rd and 6 play. They got to get to the 21-yard line of Wayne Valley. They're going 2 receivers to the right. I formation. Olsen is going to look to throw. Pressure coming, screen up the middle, and the play is going to be close to the 6. I think Wayne Hills is short, but at least they're close on 4th down.
I honestly think they're going to go for it here rather than. Although, I don't know, Dries runs out onto the field with the tee.
It's going to
Coming
be.
back now.
I wonder what the call is. It's going to be 4th and 2. And they're going to go for it. Oh wait.
Nope.
They're going to kick it.
They're going to kick
They're
it.
going to kick it. Wow.
This is a long one, too.
I don't think Olsen had this much confidence in Divers last year.
They're calling a timeout.
As they're going to call a timeout to think about it. That's going to be a 40 or 41-yard field goal. And Dries missed from, I believe, 37 earlier. And Hills uses their final timeout with 9:45 to go.
Timeout, Wayne Hills.
Looked like they were missing a player there.
Don't want to do that.
Wayne Hills is, Coach Olsen is yelling at his field goal crew, Eugene Lowe in particular, as he's the one that calls the play. As Coach Olsen said, all he had to say is Coach Johnson now is coaching him up. And the tee is still
They're
out.
still going to go for it.
The tee is still out on that 30-yard line, so they're going to kick the field goal. And boy, if he misses this, you're going to second-guess that decision. But
Can
you know
say
what?
Fake?
Hey, it's
Michigan State last week.
It's only 4th and 2. So Eugene the holder, Dries to kick it from 40 yards to tie the game. Long snap count, high snap, Eugene gets it down. Dries' kick looks to be short, and it is short and wide right. He missed it.
The field goal attempt is no good.
The Valley stands are going crazy, but it appears that they haven't looked at the clock recently. There's still 9 minutes and 38 seconds left to go.
Hey, that's 3 times Wayne Hills was in the Wayne Valley red zone, or at least right there, and 3 times they came out with 0 points. And that just can't happen when you have to win a big football game. So Valley quickly back on the field. 2 receivers, I formation. It's going to be a handoff to the knee, stuffed in the backfield for a huge loss.
It's a good start.
That was Joe Lane's side of the line. The carry was to Miller, and he lost 4 yards on the play. Russell Pekarski blew that play up in the backfield.
You're right, it was to Joe Lane's side, and Joe Lane was able to take one lineman away, clearing a gap for Russ Pekarski, and he just shot through it.
So 2nd and 14 for the Indians from their own 17-yard line. 4 receivers again. Fournier out of the gun. Drops back to pass. Hills rushes 4. Pressure comes. It's a screen to the right. I'm sorry, to the left. And it's dropped by the receiver. It looked to be a nice designed play as Talarico dropped the ball. Hills did have guys there to make the play, but Valley's line did a good job of cutting the Wayne Hills defensive lineman there so they couldn't bat it down. So 3rd and long for Valley. And here's decision time for Coach O'Connor. Do you let your senior quarterback air it out and try to pick up the 1st down deep in your own zone? Or do you just run the ball and see what happens?
Well, they have let Fournier throw the ball this whole game, and he's capable of doing it, setting the shotgun.
He's in the gun. He fumbles the snap. He's going to try to run with it now when he's sacked. A huge loss for Fournier, loses 6 yards on the play, and Valley has to punt from inside their own 10.
That's the D-line for you. We've been saying it all night, all year. I mean, in the preseason, this defensive line is incredible. They shoot through the gaps, they force pressure, and you see there, they don't even have to do anything. And a fumble happens. Look, Fournier not a great snap, but look who's there. Jason Avedizian's there, waiting for it.
I mean, we said they were inexperienced coming into the season. I think they've grown up since then.
Oh, they've matured greatly.
3 juniors on that defensive line. As the punt from Dietz is almost blocked. It's a high, good kick fielded at the 42-yard line. taken inside the 40 to the 35, and Dowling's taken down at the 33-yard line. So another nice return from Brian Dowling, and Hills has great field position again.
Now the key to that play, you saw as soon as Brian caught the ball, Monahan lay a block on the headhunter. I mean, that's what gave Brian 15 extra yards.
Second time tonight that Monahan's made a nice block on the punt. But going back to that defensive line, it's worth noting their names. Roberto Alvarez and Jason Avedisian in the middle, and Peter Davies and Joe Lane on the outside have done a great job tonight of not letting Fournier get that pass game going.
This is one of the best D-lines I've seen in years.
First and 10 from the 34. Olsen throws the curl route complete inside the 25-yard line, down to the 20. Hills has a first down at the 20. That was Eugene Lowe on the catch.
There's a short-handed receiver for you. He doesn't get much publicity, but Mike Quick was all over him. He loved the way he stalk blocked, and you see there, when he gets his opportunities, he takes advantage of them.
Eugene's one of those kids that wins championships, and no one really talks about him. He does so many things right. He's such a bright kid. He knows what he's doing out there. Is this going to be a handoff up the middle? Getting inside the 15 is Dowling and taken down at the 13. So Hills is moving the ball.
Kevin's trying to pick up the tempo here. He likes what the offense is doing, and he likes what he's seeing on the defensive side. So he wants to keep the offensive momentum going.
He wants to make sure Valley's defense can't catch their breath, because when they do, they've already made 2 goal line stands.
I mean, they've been struggling on this side of the field all night long. Let's see if they
Dowling
finally
limping off
capitalize.
the field. It looked like he had a cramp before.
Oh.
Now I can guarantee he had a cramp, because before I don't know if you guys saw, after the punt return, he didn't come up lifting, but he came up stretching his calf. So that's what it looked like to be there.
Handoff up the middle. Santoro, I believe that was James Hogan on the carry. Tripped up after a gain of just 1. He had room in front of him. Someone on that defensive line of Valley just was able to get a hand on Hogan's leg, and he only picked up 1. So it's going to be a big 3rd and 3 now. And if they don't get it, do you give Dries the kick again? We'll see. Hopefully Hills picks up the first down.
He's just missed on the length so far, so this is definitely inside the 20.
I formation, Olsen to throw. Throws it to the left, complete. Inside the 10-yard line, down to the 5. Dragging defenders is Wayne Hills' receiver. I believe it was Dries on the catch. Down to the 5-yard line. That was Mike Dries on the play. A huge 3rd down conversion for the Patriots.
You know, Mike Dries not contributing much with his feet, but now he contributes with his hands with a great play there, getting the first down.
For the first time tonight, Wayne Hills' bleachers are on their feet. 6 minutes to go in the game. Wayne Hills with the first and goal from the 5. Here we go.
They're going to put James Hogan at tailback.
Hogan dots the I. It's a handoff to him inside the 3, down to the 2, and they're going to mark him down at the 1-yard line. A huge run from Hogan on first down, and Wayne Hills is at the 1.
They're going to go right back to that. They showed that they could pound it right off the line, and that's what they haven't been getting, the initial gap. And if he could do that, he could hop right over. That's all they need. They need that little push off the line to get the defensive line that inch back.
Here we go again.
They're so close.
Can Valley make it 3 for 3? 2nd and goal from inside the 2. Hand up to Hogan, diving in. Touchdown, Wayne Hills. Dave Hogan gives Wayne Hills the 13-10 lead.
John, you knew it was going to happen after that first run. Like I said, you get the initial push, you can get in. We didn't have that the first 2 goal line stands, but that's exactly what we needed. James Hogan, the biggest running back on this team, the most powerful runner I have ever seen come through Wayne Hills, puts it in the end zone. Fantastic.
I knew it was going to happen.
Yeah, thank you, Joe. That's big. Hopefully Drewski gets this one through.
This is going to make it a 4-point game. This is huge. Kick is up. It's high. And good. Mike Dries hits the extra point, and Hills goes on top, 14-10, and their defense spells blood.
Oh, they're going to come out with so much fire. Now, the one thing, the points that are on the board for Wayne Valley came on a play that's going to come up next.
Squib it.
Kick return. Do you squib it?
Squib
Do
it.
you keep it away from, I mean, I don't know, was it a missed tackle, or he just found the seam on the sideline?
Outside contain blew their coverage on that play, and Varelli made him pay. But Varelli's also cramping up. That's important to mention.
The other one.
So once again, we're going to send it down to the field for Nick Appaluccio.
Thanks, guys. I was walking up and down the sidelines and saw trainers massaging Brian Dowling's calf. Let's hope it's nothing big and we see him back later in this game. Back to you guys.
Like Nick said, we saw Dowling come off the field with that apparent calf injury. We can only hope he gets over that real quick, because Hills is going to have to run the clock out. I mean, Hogan and Santora have done a serviceable job filling in. You got to give some credit to the offensive line for that. And again, like I said in the pregame, you got to give credit to the offensive line for Olsen to have time. So here's the kick. It's going to be fielded at the 2. Taken across the 15. Hills' coverage is there. To the sideline again. Across the 25. And a huge tackle made there by, it looked like, Joe Lane. It might have been Jimmy Kenny. Jimmy Kenny made a huge tackle.
Whatever stops him there, John. Whatever gets him down. Because you saw he was going to the outside again. He was smelling the end zone.
Jimmy Kenny with a huge tackle.
That's another unsung hero like Eugene Lowe.
Because the return man only had one man to beat after that. I mean, Hills' kickoff coverage runs straight down the field. They don't have protection to the sidelines. So Fournier in the shotgun, 4 receivers, looks to his right, curl route short. He one-hops it to Anthony Varelli. And, I mean, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the Peter Davies effect, but Fournier is not hitting his throws.
I mean, Fournier, you can tell he's nervous right now, because now he's pressured to lead a drive down to the end zone, and that's the only way they can win if they score a touchdown. He's got to feel the pressure.
You saw
it in that throw, Anthony.
We saw last year Pete Savastano was put in a similar situation, although he did have less time, but he was forced to try to make a quick drive down the field. And it's a new quarterback. Let's see if it's a new outcome. Hopefully not for Wayne Hills.
Savastano showed a lot of guts last year, and now it's time for Fournier to do the same. Low snap, it's one hop. Fournier escapes the pressure, flushes out of the pocket, looks deep down the field, intercepted by Wayne Hill across the 40-yard line, near sideline 50. A huge block inside the 40. Sabino finally taken down at the 38-yard line. Wayne Hills will take over in Valley territory with 5 minutes to go. What a block!
Wow, that was John, that was incredible. It looked like it was Joe Lane, 64 on the block. We're going to see it here. Troy comes to the sideline. Oh, my. Oh, that is incredible. That is a block for the oh, my God. Oh, my God. I don't know how to describe that. But like we said, a turnover would be big.
Look.
Oh, my God.
Oh, what a hit. What a hit.
Boom!
It was Joe Lane. Joe Lane on the hit.
Oh,
wow.
The hockey teammates making it happen. Handoff up the middle. There's a hole into the secondary. 10, 5, touchdown! Wayne Hills piling it on. And it's now 20-10. Touchdown.
Points off of turnovers. That's what we saw in the first half. We saw Wade Valley was able to capitalize on the interception that was tipped off a few different players. Trani was able to pick it off and take it, and they scored off of that. Now Troy Zaffino gets the pick, and Wayne Hill scores off of that with a Nick Massey touchdown.
The game just changed in an instant.
Wow.
I can't believe what just happened. I mean, I'm happy, but
Every Hills fan is standing. Every Valley fan is silent. This is great. Drees' extra point is a line drive right through the uprights. 21-10, Wayne Hills. Wow. Coach?
I'm finding it hard to breathe with all this yelling.
Coach Olsen had the windmill lawnmower fist pump after that run. I have never seen him show.
in one.
I have never seen him show that much emotion.
Oh, man, that was incredible.
What a sequence.
That sequence right there was incredible. Now, Goldie had predicted 24-10. 5 minutes left.
They're not going to get a field goal.
21-10.
They're not going to take a field goal.
21-10.
come on.
I'm just throwing it out. I got to throw props to my man Gold down
Hey,
there. He asked me today in school, throw him some props. Hey, if he calls this game, Mucho bravos.
Hey, I said 24-7. That's not that far off.
Oh, man, I'm having a great time. How the tides have turned. Wow.
Oh my God.
Wow. I
You know,
can I say it's the presence of Brian Dowling that has changed this game?
I was going to say that in the post game.
the presence of Brian Dowling alone. Brian Dowling hasn't had that much of an impact on the second half. He's been on the sidelines half the second half. But just his
Field
presence
position battle. I think that's what it's come down to.
gave this team such a lift when he came back on that field. I mean, there was a murmur about the stadium when number 9 walked in between those white lines. And what is Valley thinking?
Oh, no.
Oh, we just
Not
lost.
again. Not again.
And again, you have to give pressure to the defensive credit to the defensive line, who put pressure on Fournier and had made him chuck up that ball down the middle of the field, a dangerous pass, and Troy Zaffino made him pay. And Troy made up for those 2 drops on offense as well, I might add.
Ooh, nah, that's a nice boot.
That's a nice boot.
Dries
All right, let's see if they
backs
can
up
do it again.
Varelli to the 2. Varelli crossing the field, and he is taken down at the 13-yard line. Wayne Hills can smell the finish line now.
Matt Greenfield on that one. And it's the intensity. I mean, look at the smoke on the field. This is the atmosphere we are used to at Wayne Hills, and this is the type of game that we're used to at Wayne Hills.
Not really. We're used to 42-0 blowouts, but this is
this is the kind of intensity we love to see.
This is even better. I mean, we had the comparisons all night. Anthony said last year's Valley game. I said when it was looking bad, last year's St. Joe's game. Now I'm saying that PV game we were at when we were really scared. I haven't been that scared at halftime since that PV game. Is the passes almost intercepted, incomplete. I mean, Anthony and I were the only ones there, along with our cameraman, John Giardello, up in Pascack Valley 2 years ago. And Pascack Valley was undefeated going into that game, but no one expected them to keep it that close. It was 0-0 at halftime that night. And the sick feeling we had at halftime tonight, the only other time I felt that with this team was last year or 2 years ago against PV. And boy, in both of those games, Hills answered the call in the second half. Fournier, another low snap, looks to throw, and it's incomplete, dropped. Valley is so rattled right now. That was Varelli again. And he's their senior leader. He is their maybe the best player on the team.
He hasn't come through. He had the opportunity. He was wide open. Wide open. Nobody was going to touch him. Brian Dowling wasn't there to poke it out this time, and he dropped the ball.
Yeah, but the defense has been there all night.
Oh, I do not deny that for a second, but the one opportunity they had did not take advantage of it.
Fournier escapes the pocket. He's going to run. He's got plenty of room. Gets the first down and more. Across the 30. Across the 40. Andrew Fournier breaks it at the 30. And he's going to be finally taken down from behind inside the Wayne Hills 20. So there's that shot of life back into the Valley side, as that was a 50-yard plus run from Andrew Fournier. And Valley has first and 10 at the Wayne Hills 12. And it's a good thing Troy came from behind to make the tackle. As there you see the replay. Someone missed a tackle on the sideline. That was a good block.
I think it was Mike Dries, John.
That was a great block by the Valley.
That's great effort, though,
receiver.
right there by Troy Zaffino.
Great
effort.
He's fast.
21-17. Oh, it's a game again. So that's huge. Trips to the right. No tight ends. And they're going to call a false start on Valley. Not what you want to see if you're an Indians fan after a huge play.
Looked like the defense jumped first there, John. It's going to bring them that much closer to the end zone. They can still get a first down as well.
These Wayne Hills, Wayne Valley games, something happens to these players going into the fourth quarter where they just make big plays. Because in both games, the first 3 quarters were a little below the radar as far as exciting plays are concerned. As the handoffs up the middle inside the 5. Touchdown, Wayne Valley. The first touchdown given up on the season for Wayne Hills' defense. And just like that, Valley makes it a one-possession game.
Mike Fusco
And
running it right up the gut.
they're going to go for the 2-point conversion to try to make it a 3-point game. And this would be huge if Valley can convert. I would imagine Valley's going to get a steady dose of Brian Dowling on the next possession.
Oh,
And Nick Massey and James Hogan.
Well, 3 minutes left. Onside kick.
No.
No?
Maybe.
They got to get
I
a
don't
stop.
know. I'm just throwing it
They
out
have
there.
2 timeouts. Maybe they might. So Fournier in the shotgun, trying to convert the 2-point conversion. 3 receivers to the right. Looks to throw incomplete. Batted down again. Great coverage by Wayne Hills. I believe he was going for Mike Borelli on that catch. And Anthony's younger brother, I mean, he basically copied his brother with the ball going through the hands. High pass, though, from Fournier. So that's huge because now Valley needs a touchdown.
That was a
Field goal.
great job by Monahan there.
Field goal does them no good now. With 3:52 to go in the fourth quarter.
Now, down by 5. Onside kick. Question mark.
Yes.
Leading it up to interpretation.
It went. The chances of seeing it just went up.
Oh,
Hey,
dramatically.
I also want to bring up that Matt Dietz is a kicking specialist.
That's true.
He doesn't do much else. I wouldn't be shocked if he's practiced this a lot. And I would imagine Hills gets the hands team out there. Mike Drees, Eugene Lowe, Brian Dowling, Andrew Monahan.
Looks like that's what they're doing. They
Yeah,
have
it looks
a lot
like
of big
it.
guys out there.
Yeah.
I mean, you see Monahan, you see Pekarski, you see Dowling, you
Dowling's,
see Drees.
Dowling's walking off the field.
Oh.
He's the returner,
Ooh.
so maybe they are anticipating the onside
Yeah.
kick.
You're going to put Ricky Klee in there. Good friend of mine.
As well as,
Many of the other players.
yeah, they're making some last-minute changes on the kick return team right now. And they are going to go with that hands team. 1 man back to return the kick.
All right, so let's see what they got in the front line.
And yes, Valley is going to go for the onside
Yep.
kick.
Yep.
They load up 10
Wow.
guys to that
It's
side
the
of the
game
field.
right here.
I guess high school football, you're allowed to do that. As Deese is going to tee it up from the right hash. It's got to go 10 yards. They got to go to the 50. They fake it. Yep, do-over.
I wonder if that was planned. That was strange. It
That
looked like
wasn't- that
everybody
wasn't
stopped.
planned,
though.
Anthony.
And the kick is away. Oh, and it's a fumble. Somebody's got it.
Oh, Davies fell on it. He tried to jump over it first.
Wayne
and,
Hills bobbled the ball.
Woo,
Valley got
that
what they
was
wanted.
That was close. Got to let that one go out of
And
bounds. to
it
get even better
looks
field
like
position.
Wayne Hills is football. So a huge break. If it was Davies, oh boy, that's big.
That was close.
That could have been bad.
So Dowling comes on the field with a little bit of a hobble in his walk.
I think it was that calf cramp.
Your calf is still sore after that.
Yeah.
Big golf ball sticks out of it.
That's an understatement for Brian Dowling's calf.
It's more like a boulder.
Now I don't see throwing the ball here at all.
No.
Not at all. The way-
Especially with the defense, a punt is not the worst thing in the world.
No.
Especially where Hills is on the field. 3:51 to go. Valley has 2 timeouts. I formation for Hills. Handoff up the middle. Dowling there, met for no gain.
Now Hills has no timeouts. Valley has 2, so I would imagine they're going to call him rather early.
Yeah, I'm surprised they're not taking it here.
You see Dowling's got a cramp again.
And the second Dom Santoro saw Brian on the ground, he sprinted out on the field.
As well as Margaret.
Margaret's going to beat him, look.
Yeah, you can see it on from your television screen before Margaret walked in front of it.
She's had a busy night.
Oh my God, with Brian alone, you could see the cramp in his calf.
Margaret's going to cramp up
yeah,
pretty soon.
I know, calf cramps are, they're tough to deal with. Your leg really like
they're so
forms
painful.
into a rock.
It's like there's an alien inside trying to break out. It just hurts so bad.
John, he came up before with the same thing. It's hot. I'm not joking. It's the heat.
Yeah, the humidity is definitely getting to these players. I mean, there's 4 big-time players in this game. I'm talking skill players that make huge impacts have all left the game with cramps.
3:36 left. You saw that they were blitzing the house there. So, ooh.
Look at Brian sprawled out on the ground.
Oh, he's in agony. This is a horrible injury. It's not even an injury. It's just a horrible period of time until the cramp is.
Oh, look at that.
The cramp is gone. What I've learned that like gets rid of cramps immediately, and you're gonna say, "Oh, what are you talking about?" Pickle juice.
I heard
Pickle juice. You can take a sip and it's gone.
That's Coach Rello for you.
It is. I mean, whatever works, it gets rid of it so fast.
Now, I don't have an instant remedy for that, but I've told the fiber in bananas help
are
a
also
lot
good.
too.
Sometimes potassium. So if you take
potassium,
some salt,
that's what it is.
You take some salt. I just lick some salt sometimes. I mean, strange remedies, whatever works. Now, I'm just gonna. I don't think Coach Olsen's gonna play this. You see them blitzing the house, let them through. Screenplay might work there.
Yep.
And Brian can't walk under his own power.
No, but that's what a cramp does. It's still locked up.
They're carrying him. Give this man a round of applause because
He's had a night, huh?
Oh, he has done. He's given up his body for this game. In his mind, if he had a concussion. Oh man.
Giving it up to the
he's
fans.
hopping.
That's our boy Brian Dowling.
The legend lives on. I formation, handoff up the middle. Nothing there. Santoro doing a good job of pushing the pile. Picks up 2, maybe 3 on the play. It's going to be 3rd and 8 now, and Valley does burn that second timeout, so they have 1 more to give.
See, I feel like this is risky business right now.
It is.
Because 3, say they run off another 10 seconds.
Hey.
3:09 with no timeouts on either team. Then it comes down to, if you score, you win.
Pass the football.
Here?
Curl to Eugene Lowe. It's worked all night.
Ooh, I mean, I don't disagree for a second. Again, they're bringing the house. You play action screen to your wide receiver. You got it all night. Or play action, throw it to anybody. In the middle of the field, they're going to be wide open.
Even when Kevin was missing the mark in the first half, that curl route was open.
Oh, yeah.
Curl routes and out routes have been there for Wayne Hills tonight. Especially to Lowe. And, of course, Drees and Troy can make those plays, too. But they could stay conventional, stick with the run up the middle to Santoro or Hogan or Massey.
Play action. I love the play action pass.
Oh, we know you do. You said it many times tonight.
Joe, I love the play action pass.
As there you see Brian being attended to. Getting the head iced, the leg massaged.
You just got to get that cramp out. Once it's out for good, you're good. You're going to have pain, but it's not going to lock back up.
He's already made his mark on this game.
There's your boy Eugene Lowe out wide.
There he is on the left, one-on-one isolation out there. Do it. Olsen's going to keep it to the left. He's got a block. 45. He's hit hard there. So it's going to cause a 4th down. Olsen trying to gallop for the 1st down and just couldn't quite get there.
It was a good thought by Coach Olsen.
Yeah, I like that.
There was
call.
a shot there.
Hey, Eugene Lowe's the stalk block master, and all you needed there was 1 good stalk block to spring that one.
Yeah.
Maybe some monkey see, monkey do, as Fournier had success on that play, and Olsen just not quite enough speed as Varelli hit him hard.
Hey,
I like that call.
It helps you mature, right?
That's a safe call, and thinking outside the box, getting to the perimeter and using your best stalk blocker.
3:11 left in the game. They used their last time out there. Wow. This is a Patriot classic.
And this is the way it should end.
Oh yeah.
Definitely.
May the best team win.
Hey, don't be surprised be surprised to see Valley get that ball again. Pete Savastano led that comeback drive last year, and Andrew Fournier might have to do it this year. So Wayne Hills is going to punt, 4th down.
It's going to be Troy Zaffino. Oh, no, excuse me, Mike Drees punting now.
Well, we know he's got the leg for the job. Anthony Varelli,
one man back.
The only man back there to receive the punt. Standing at his own 15-yard line. 2 headhunters for Hills. Valley looking to block the kick. They're sending everybody. Troy gets it away. Ooh, bad one. That's a bad kick. That takes a Valley bounce, too. Oof, that is
We've seen better kicks from Drees than that.
That's a 10-yard punt. A 10-yard punt.
Oh, and he's angry at himself.
Oh, of course. I mean, I guess he's okay, but he's also had cramps in his legs tonight. And we know Dries can kick the football.
See, Matt Greenfield's going to stay in the game right now. He brings so much energy to this
Oh,
team.
you know, you see him on the sideline. He's out of control.
So we thought it was going to be a long drive. They only need 63 yards. 3:08 to go, Valley with no timeouts. It's going to be a run to the right, and it's taken. Oh, he breaks the tackle, but Hills' defense is there.
Eugene
Shooting through was Eugene Lowe to clean that play up. A loss of 6 on the play.
There's another cramp. And look at that, Andrew Fournier cramping up.
And that is number 11, Andrew Fournier.
Who
Look
is
at
the
that.
backup quarterback?
3 Valley trainers sprinting onto the field because they know if he can't play the rest of this drive, they are in a lot of trouble. Guys, do you know who their backup quarterback is?
I think it's Mike Varelli.
Yeah, Mike was my first guess. I can tell you who else is listed as a quarterback on the roster. Alec.
It might be Mike Eckroat.
Scazafavi, sophomore, 5'8". Yeah, Mike Eckroat would be another.
I think he
guess.
is the junior quarterback, the
Indeed,
backup.
Yeah, Mike Eckroat's
I believe it is him.
the other QB on the roster.
Is he number 12?
Yes.
Then it's Mike Eckroat. I saw him warming up in the beginning of the game.
Didn't he go to Bosco, or is that somebody else?
That's
No,
Frank
that is
Newtile.
Frank Newtile and Frank Felice.
Frank Felice. That's the name I was thinking of.
Well, both went.
Both went to Don Bosco.
And they're probably about 8th string on that team.
Unfortunately, both are extremely
Talented.
talented quarterbacks.
They would have been stars
they could
here
be starting
at Wayne
most other
Valley.
schools. You send them to DePaul, you send them to all these other schools. They could be starting. They choose the best program in the nation and one of the best.
So Fournier is going to walk off under his own power. And I know we're Wayne Hills students, but I'm happy to see that. You don't want to see this game end like that.
No. He's going to come out, though.
Oh, he has to come out for at least one play.
Mike Eckroat's going to come in.
Oh, boy, that's pressure.
This is pressure, especially with the heat Fournier has been facing all night with the D-line.
Not only that, but it's 2nd and 16. You need to pick up positive yardage here. And he's been sitting on the bench cold. That clock is not in his head. And number 40 is going to be coming around that
Imagine
left
being
tackle.
thrusted into this game.
Ooh, they might run it. Who knows? But Eckroat, pretty tall kid in the shotgun. 4 receivers. He's going to throw it. Looking over the middle, and it's going to be incomplete. He hit Fusco in the back. It was a good throw. I thought Massey might have had a chance at the pick.
It looked like he tipped it for a second.
Threw a little bit behind him.
It hit Fusco in the back. He didn't turn around. It was a good throw, but it might have been tipped by Massey. He was right there.
Ooh, 3rd and 16.
That's why I thought you should have run. I know they don't have any timeouts.
Yeah, you might want
gotta
to run
the
it.
ball on 2nd and 16. Because now
Especially
3rd and 16,
yeah.
you gotta complete the pass. 4 receivers for Eckroat. Out of the gun. He's got time. Deep ball to the right sideline. Incomplete. It was out of bounds. Intended for number 6, Mike Varelli.
This is the ball game right here, in my opinion.
Yeah, obviously.
Absolutely.
I
4th
mean,
down.
Got to go for it.
Oh, my. Oh, my. What just popped in my head, John? You tell me. I'll tell you. Say they stop him here on 4th down. Wayne Hills is going to get the ball.
They're going to take a knee.
They're going to kick a field goal. It's going to be
No.
24-10. And
Jesus missed 2 field goals today.
Yeah,
Hey,
but
hey, Anthony. Wayne Valley has 16
they're going to put
points.
Anthony.
Hey,
They're going to put Anthony Jordan in.
Wayne Valley has 16 points. That's not.
Oh, John, I forgot.
4 receivers set for Eckroat. The crowd is on their feet. 4th down. He's got to complete the pass. He's flushed out of the pocket. Davies coming. He's scrambling. He's going to chuck it down the field. Incomplete. Wayne Hills beats Wayne Valley on their home turf. People cramping up left and right. Varelli had it in his hands.
I don't even know who this one is. Is it Troy again?
I think so.
It looks like it is Troy. Wow. Again, that Eli Manning-esque to find a way out of that pocket and scramble. Not only that, he made the same throw down the field. So that one,
Pretty good
luckily,
throw.
it wasn't a bad throw. It right into the chest of Anthony Varelli. That's two. That's two today. That could have been game-changing catches.
When you said 4th and 16, what am I thinking of? That's what I thought of. I thought you were going to say Tyree.
David Tyree.
But I couldn't find the words for it. And
Wow. This was incredible. This was incredible.
This was a great game.
there's 2:15 to go.
It looks like both of Troy's legs cramped up.
They're carrying Troy off the field.
It's a hot night. You have to overhydrate for this kind of game. I don't know if the players did. I mean, they're very health conscious, so I would imagine they did. But I mean, you soak up energy like ridiculous amounts in this kind of heat.
Troy's going to join Brian over there on the bench.
That is the
Sick
cramp
bay.
bench. That is where they're keeping every person who is getting a calf cramp. They're going to bring the Valley players over too.
So with 2:15,
Is that enough to need
if
out?
my math is correct,
I think so.
it should be good. Because you got to allow about 40 seconds for the play clock and about 2 seconds for the play. 40 times 3 is 2 minutes. And
You
of
might-
course,
yeah.
they'd have time for clock to run on 4th down.
You might
So
need to run
they
one.
should
Justin
not.
Beveridge in the game.
Just there's one receiver set. This isn't.
You're going to have to run one play, I think, just to get time off.
I don't know. Maybe the math on the sideline just isn't. Their minds are too flustered to think about that, and they trust their backs to not fumble.
Justin Beveridge, we said earlier, he's one of the harder runners on the team. I mean, he runs with a downhill force that I haven't seen.
Hey, Troy and Brian are both immobile right now, and they're going to give a fullback dive up the middle. They're going to try to strip it, of
that
course.
took a lot of time off the clock. That
And
took
that's
a good 5
that's
seconds off the
a
clock.
gain of 4 as we now hit the 2-minute mark in this game. That was Massey on the carry.
Number 1, Alex Trenny on the tackle.
So yeah, Beveridge in the game, I like the call, with Troy and Dowling immobile, and Santoro having to go both ways tonight. So I like the call because Justin Beveridge is an adequate high school varsity back.
Oh, he'd
Really
be
good
starting
player,
on many
guys.
teams. Most of these players would.
High formation. They're going to run it again. Beveridge takes it and finds a hole, drags people inside the 25. He's right at the 6. I think he has the first down.
It's Justin Beveridge, and that'll be the game.
That will be the game. I'm pretty sure he got the
I don't
first
think
down.
they can come back.
Oh, it's going to be 32.
Whoa.
Not a nice spot.
3rd and 1.
Justin Beveridge on the carry.
There's going to
Official timeout for a measurement.
I guarantee it.
They're going to bring out the sticks. If it's a first down, the game's over.
It won't be.
It's a first down.
And it's a
over.
first
Oh,
down
never
for
mind.
Wayne Hills. So Wayne Hills completes the 3-game sweep of Wayne Valley. They're going to go on to win this one by a final score of 21-16. Just another odd score to add to the Wayne Hills-Wayne Valley rivalry. I guess the other ones weren't that odd.
This one sticks out in my mind as the best one yet. Mainly because we had to come from behind.
Yeah.
How many times do we have to do that?
Not a lot.
How many times has Wayne Hills ever come from behind?
And it was out on home turf, which helps.
Oh,
But
and the black jerseys, just the whole
atmosphere
was incredible.
So there's 106 and counting. So there it is. Olsen takes a knee. So the first big win is notched into the belt of young Kevin Olsen. A career that I'm sure will go down in the record books. So there you have it. Wayne Hills wins the crosstown rivalry by a final score of 21-16. It was certainly a night to remember, as we had people getting hurt on both sides. We had rumors flying before the game, during the game. And it's just so another one of those classics where there's 10 plays where there's 10 plays that stands out in your mind as a flag flies. I guess Valley doesn't want it to be over yet.
That was on the defense. They tried to push the center over Kevin to
Steve
force a fumble.
Ivkov.
trying to force Steve over the center.
And I got to name the Wayne Hills offensive line because they've played an awesome game tonight. I mentioned that for Kevin Olson to play a game good enough for Hills to win, the offensive line needed to give him time so that he wasn't flustered in the pocket, and they did that. So your offensive line, center Steve Ivkov, guards Sam Schultz and Justin Avedisian, and tackles Casey Cardux and Jake Shunky. As the horn sounds, Wayne Hills storms the field after pulling out the monster win. Guys, what do you have to say?
Well, in the second half, they bared down and they won the game. They made plays. But, guys, going on for the season, they can't play like this. There's a lot of room for improvement on the offensive and defensive side of the ball.
Yeah, Joe, you're right. I mean, on the defensive side, I don't have any question marks, anything to complain about. They were impeccable. What I do have to question is, can Kevin step up? And we saw in the second half he did. Now, another question: if Brian Dowling, God forbid, go down again, what do we do? What does Wayne Hills do? Right? What we saw tonight, you play around it, you adapt to what you have. That's a great job. I'm impressed with the way Wayne Hills played throughout this game. I mean, this is the first come from behind victory I've seen in a long time for Wayne Hills. And, whether it's the presence of Brian Dowling, the maturation of Kevin Olson, or the best skilled players we've had in a long time. So, this was a great game for Wayne Hills overall.
Yeah, oh man, if Brian Dowling gets hurt, who knows?
Big question marks.
That's a big question mark. But tonight, Wayne Hills learned a lot about themselves. They were down. I think you mentioned it. I think it was the first time ever that I've seen Wayne Hills down in the second half of a game, or the game. The semifinals against PV here, they were down, and DiBianca had the two big runs. That is the only other time I've seen Wayne Hills down ever. But they came back and they fought. Dowling's presence alone got them back in this football game. Although he wasn't a huge contributor in the second half, he helped them get that lead. And Valley's defense was stout again. They almost pulled the upset again.
Yeah.
You got to give credit to both defenses because they played a hell of a game. So with that said, we're going to head down to the field for some post-game interviews. Stay tuned. Wayne Hills defensive end Peter Davies, number 40. Peter, you were in the backfield all night, all over Fournier. You blew him up in the end zone for that one sack. I mean, were they just not blocking you? Did you just feel it tonight? I mean, what was going on over there?
No, of course they were blocking, but when it comes down to it, it matters who wants it most, the offensive lineman or defensive lineman. And I felt like I wanted it more. I wanted to get to that quarterback. I wanted to end that game. I wanted to win this.
Now, the whole defense played a great game tonight, you included, of course. But Brian Dowling going out with that injury at the end of the first half, that must have taken down the morale of the team a lot. You guys, you just kind of seemed more dull when he was gone. The offense couldn't get things going. Your defense played great, but what was the sidelines like in the locker room like at the halftime when you knew that your star wasn't on the field?
We're all down for a little bit, but football's not a one-man team. Brian's a great player, if not our best player, but football's not a one-man team. We always got backups, always got all of them preparing just in case something like this happens. And if something like this happens, always got someone to go in and fill in the spot.
Now, this was a huge test for you guys. This is the first big game of the season. You got many more to come. Ramapo, St. Joe's, Paramus, Ridgewood. So many big games. Of course, the playoffs. What did you learn about your team tonight going forward?
We went down a little bit, we went up a little bit. Sometimes we went in a little slump. But, when it went to the fourth quarter, everyone deep down inside them reached down and then grabbed what they wanted. They wanted to win, so they got to win.
All right, Peter, thanks for joining us. Good luck the rest of the way.
Thank you.
So, guys, we're right back where we started 5 hours ago. Things have quieted out a little bit. So what happened 30 minutes ago was a great game, one of the best games we've ever seen. So try to put things in perspective historically. How great was this game?
Well, John, we saw many things tonight. We saw what looked to be an upset and what looked to be an injury of epic proportions, and then all of that was taken off of the table, and Brian Dowling was able to come back into the game. Wayne Hills was able to regain momentum, and they took that right to the end of the game and to get the W.
I guess you could say it's an instant class. Both teams played great throughout the whole entire game, and also they played great last year, so they're really doing it again. So you really can't say much about Brian Dowling, the way he came back from all his injuries he had, and Mike Treese and Troy Safino. I mean, they were all warriors out there today.
With all the fanfare going into tonight, the balloons, the cheerleaders, the shirts, the black jerseys, just all the hype going into this game, and again, it lived up to it for the third time. I mean, it just shows how great this rivalry is really getting. And the best decision that the schedule makers ever made was putting Hills and Valley in the same division. I mean, hopefully it happens again next year because it's just phenomenal every time they play.
Yeah, John, I mean, there's nothing much like it. I mean, you have your Ramapo against Wayne Hills, but a crosstown rivalry, there's nothing like it. And especially with the debut of the black jerseys, Coach Olson wanted to have a blackout, so they gave out T-shirts to the fans. It was really something special, and I'm honored to be a part of it.
I mean, this rivalry will never end because both teams are going to be strong. Throughout the years, I mean, you saw the talent of sophomores and juniors they had on both sides, so it'll never end.
And not just in football, every sport now Hills is playing Valley. I mean, people go show up for soccer games. Every sport when Hills plays Valley, people are there. So it's just going to get better and better. So that'll just about do it for us. For everyone on our broadcast crew, Mr. Berkowitz, Mr. Hookstraight, and to everyone that had a huge part in today's broadcast, we thank you. And for Anthony Scudillo, Joe Rapp, myself, John Vittas, have a good night.